Chapter 2362.
Welcome, Lord God King.
When Night Sorrow appeared, the members of the god-slaying team stood up and greeted him respectfully. Night Sorrow's eyes contained the sun, moon, and stars. He could control everything. Night Sorrow couldn't help but frown, thinking that there was a gap between them. Long Jin, Lei Bao, and the others laughed loudly. Even the most reserved Qin Zhen couldn't help but purse his lips. So they were joking. Night Sorrow couldn't help but feel helpless. However, he was in a good mood. Today, brothers, let's get drunk. The hidden danger of the devil-winged race was resolved, and the world was at peace. Time passed quickly, and 300 years passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Night Sorrow found Tran Heng, King Yewu, and Wu Lingfei. He told them that he couldn't suppress his cultivation and was about to ascend to the God King realm. The heavenly Tao was interfering, and he had to ascend to the God King realm. After arranging everything, Night Sorrow brought his family from Bamboo Garden Village to Tianhuang City. They walked the path of the past, reminiscing about the joys and frustrations, and stabilized their mood and cultivation. The day of Ascension. Dark clouds hung low in the sky, and the entire 9 regions world was quiet. Night Sorrow only informed Tran Heng, King Yewu, and a few others because the 9 regions world needed Tran Heng and King Yewu to oversee it. Only Yin Yanxiao appeared from the Night Moon dynasty. She stood side by side with Tianyu. The others were kept in the clear sky pagoda by Night Sorrow, ready to ascend together. Apart from the Night Moon dynasty's people, Night Sorrow only brought Wu Lingfei. She wanted to find the Phoenix ancestral grounds in the God King realm. If she could find it, it would be a great opportunity. Thank you for sending me off. Everyone, take care. Flowers will bloom again, and people will meet again. Night Sorrow, who was wearing a brand new navy blue robe, stepped forward and caressed Yin Yanxiao's hair.
He bid farewell to everyone and left behind the Emperor's seal and the Emperor's brush.
This was to bring peace to the world. Suddenly, the power of merit rushed into his body. At this moment, Night Sorrow no longer restrained his sharpness. He released his primordial energy and reincarnation energy, forming a protective mist around his body. He soared into the sky. Not long after flying out of the Chaos World Group, the violent heavenly thunder earthly fire appeared. It was the first time a creature of the celestial realm had ascended to the celestial realm since the creation of the world, not to mention that he had brought his family. Night Sorrow did not dare to be careless. He defended himself with his protective energy. If the situation went wrong, he would immediately throw his people and Wu Lingfei out. Boom, boom, boom. Streaks of violent thunderbolts bombarded Night Sorrow's body continuously. These thunderbolts were several times more terrifying than the god-destroying tribulation. However, Night Sorrow was no longer in the divine soul unity realm. He was a true god emperor. Naturally, he was not the same as before. He relied on his cultivation and valiant body to withstand the thunderbolts and continued to fly upwards. Not good. The earthly fire is attacking the clear sky pagoda. The clear sky pagoda is showing signs of being incinerated. Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and the others in the clear sky pagoda shouted at the same time. The earthly fire was everywhere. It burned not only Night Sorrow's body, but also the clear sky pagoda in his dantian. It wanted to burn everyone into ashes. Break for me. Family was his reverse scale. He could not allow anyone to violate it. The heavenly thunder earthly fire was even more so. Night Sorrow shouted. He used the energy in his body to expel the burning earthly fire and protect the clear sky pagoda. His body resisted the heavenly thunder earthly fire. Soon, visible cracks appeared on his crystal-like body. The heavenly thunder earthly fire was very special. It was impossible to avoid it. His Thousand Realms defense was also useless. He could only resist it. If he did not cultivate the myriad Tao Tome, Night Sorrow's body would have disintegrated. This won't do. No matter how difficult it is, I have to increase my flying speed. The heavenly thunder earthly fire became more and more violent. The pressure on Night Sorrow also increased. Soon, half of the energy in his body was consumed. He also felt a heavy pressure in his heart. If this continued, it would be like boiling a frog in warm water. It would be easy for him to die. He had to increase his flying speed. 2/3 of the energy in my body has been consumed. I'm still in the heavenly thunder earthly fire. Not long after, Night Sorrow's energy was almost exhausted. However, the heavenly thunder earthly fire did not dissipate. Helpless, he could only support the power of virtue and continue to resist the heavenly thunder earthly fire. This was one of his most important trump cards. In the Clear Sky Pagoda, Night Moon's clansmen and Wu Lingfei were anxious. However, they were not strong enough to help. They could only pray silently. Space barrier. It's almost done. The power of virtue was very strong. However, it was only enough for Night Sorrow to hold on. Fortunately, the divine world was not far away. He was confident. What? What is this? Seeing that victory was in sight, Night Sorrow and the others noticed that the heavenly thunder earthly fire and the heavenly thunder earthly fire were gathering not far away. They slowly formed a huge lightning dragon. The lightning dragon's aura was extremely oppressive. It was as if it could destroy the world. Danger! Husband, be careful. Even Aoi, who was the most stable, could not help but shout out a warning. Father, be careful. Yi Qingyan and Yi Xiaolei were so anxious that they were about to cry. It's okay. As long as I'm still alive, I will protect everyone. Although the situation was critical, Night Sorrow did not retreat. While controlling the power of virtue, he broke his left arm and used the everlasting body tempering art to absorb the energy of the same origin as his flesh. He continued to advance. Night Sorrow faced the danger. The lightning dragon did not attack. Instead, it spat out heavenly thunder fire, which contained the power of destruction. It burned Night Sorrow's body. In an instant, the heavenly thunder fire around Night Sorrow's body was burned away. Cracks also appeared on the Clear Sky Pagoda. If this continued, everyone in the pagoda would be burned to death. If I can't defend against this heavenly thunder fire, everyone will be annihilated. Night Sorrow's energy was not enough to defend against the heavenly thunder fire. He broke his right arm and legs and continuously used the everlasting body tempering art to increase his divine domain to the peak. Husband. Datura murmured worriedly. Son. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing held each other's hands tightly. The heavenly thunder fire burned Night Sorrow as if it was burning their hearts. The others in the Clear Sky Pagoda were also distressed. Many people's eyes had already turned red. They were clear that if Night Sorrow did not divert too much energy to protect the Clear Sky Pagoda, he should have succeeded in ascending long ago. I can't fall. Night Sorrow persisted until the end. He was like a lamp that had run out of oil, but he was still flying upwards. Finally, when the Clear Sky Pagoda was about to be destroyed, Night Sorrow broke through the seal and arrived at a brand new space. I didn't let everyone down. Night Sorrow was too miserable to look at, but he was happy. Other than him and the Clear Sky Pagoda, no one was injured. This was already the best result. The spatial passage slowly closed. Without a trace of energy in his body, Night Sorrow, who had fainted, uncontrollably fell from the sky to the ground. Divine Realm. The sky was higher, the earth was more solid, the spiritual energy was vast, the space was extremely stable, and the heavenly Tao's laws were more complete. Presumably, cultivating in such an environment would be easier. But how could the people who came out of the Clear Sky Pagoda be in the mood to study cultivation matters? They all gathered around Night Sorrow. Lin Piaomiao fished out a medicinal pill and sent it into Night Sorrow's mouth. The medicinal pill was refined before Night Sorrow became a deity. Its grade was limited, but it was better than nothing. Haha! Lord Military Advisor indeed did not calculate wrongly. There is indeed a creator who succeeded in ascending. This is a tremendous lucky chance. Right at this time, two cultivators, one male and one female, flew down from above the layers of clouds. Their divine power was vast and mighty, as dazzling as the sun. Their pressure made people's hearts palpitate. Clearly they had already become deities. The male cultivator among them was wearing a white brocade robe with a crown on his head. His appearance had a rather scholarly temperament, but there was a heavy vicious aura between his brows. His gaze that examined everyone was extremely unruly. Floating in the air with his hands behind his back, he said coldly, "A bunch of ants, still not kneeling on the ground after seeing this seat." Chapter 2363. May I know who you are? Although our cultivation levels are low, we are not slaves who will kneel before anyone. Night Sorrow's grandfather, Yi Linghuan retorted. The Yi family members were prideful cultivators. They would kneel to the heavens, to the earth, to their masters, and to their parents. But they would never do such a thing. Otherwise, their Tao hearts would be unstable and they would not submit. Little ant, you have not even reached the immortal state and you dare to speak so arrogantly. You really don't know what's good for you. Do you know that I am Ling Yun, a subordinate of the Purple Mansion Divine Lord? This is my Tao partner, Azure Glass Divine Lord. I can crush your supreme existence with a stomp of my feet. The white-robed cultivator, Ling Yun, scolded with a sinister expression. Then, he raised his hand and shot out a beam of light. With a groan, Yi Linghuan's dantian was destroyed. To a cultivator, having one's dantian destroyed meant losing all their cultivation. It was even more painful than having one's soul destroyed. Ling Yun, who could kill him with one blow, was a vicious person. You beast! You hurt my grandfather for no reason. You will die a horrible death. Night Sorrow's condition was not good. Lin Piao was already the strongest in the family. Seeing her grandfather being humiliated, she attacked without hesitation. I'll kill you! Yi Xiaoluo attacked at the same time. Although it was like a mayfly trying to shake a tree, it could not stop their determination to take revenge. This was the Yi family's unyielding character. Ha ha ha! You overestimate yourself. A firefly trying to compete with the moon. Ling Yun smirked and pointed two fingers. Lin Piao and Yi Xiaoluo's dantians were destroyed as well. In reality, with Ling Yun's cultivation level, he did not need to attack to intimidate everyone. But he was playing with them like a cat playing with a mouse. Stop! Don't be rash. Night Sorrow, who had just woken up, saw the tragedy happen and instantly understood what happened. Anger filled his heart and his Tao heart trembled. But he gritted his teeth and stopped his family members who were about to continue attacking. Night Sorrow could not see through the strength of the male and female cultivators. This proved that the difference between them was too obvious. They were completely powerless. The helplessness of having his life and death controlled by someone else made Night Sorrow feel resentful. Suppressing his anger, he coldly said, I wonder what the two of you are here for? Ever since he started cultivating, Night Sorrow had experienced setbacks and oppression, but he had never been so humiliated like today. He swore in his heart that if he didn't die today, he would quickly become stronger and kill this so-called high god Ling Yun so that his family would never be bullied again. Hee. There was one tactful person. Are you the cultivator who created the world and successfully ascended to the god realm? Since you're already crippled, I'll pardon you for not kneeling. The corners of Ling Yun's mouth carried an evil smile as he looked at Yi Shang with a mocking gaze. He thought to himself, you're just a lower realm dragon and phoenix. In front of me, you're still trash like an ant. Today, I will take away all the opportunities that belong to you. I don't know what creating the world is, but I did just ascend. The pale-faced Night Sorrow replied, but his heart was filled with hatred and indignation. As a realm master and human emperor, how could he swallow such humiliation? If not for his family, Night Sorrow would have chosen to die together with them. That's right, it's you. You created the world and ascended, so the origin of the god realm will reward you. When the origin of the god realm descends, you have to give me the opportunity. Otherwise, everyone here will die, Ling Yun threatened coldly. As one of the top 10 subordinates of the Purple Mansion Divine Lord, if he could absorb the reward from the origin of the god realm, he might become a divine lord. In the god realm was divided into Feather God, High God, Divine Lord, and Divine King. Each god realm was further divided into lower, middle, and high. Night Sorrow, who had just ascended, was a lower feather god. Ling Yun was a high god. There was a difference of 5 levels between them. I agree, but you have to swear to ensure the safety of my family. Otherwise, I'd rather die together with them, Night Sorrow said coldly. His family was his bottom line. Swear? Sure. They're just a bunch of ants. Their lives have nothing to do with me. I, Ling Yun, swear. Ling Yun casually swore. When the auspicious sign descends, resist it with all your strength. Don't absorb any of it. It's coming. Suddenly, Ling Yun's eyes lit up. At this moment, gentle golden energy floated over from the horizon and surrounded Yi Shang. If I absorb it all, not only will I recover from my injuries, but my cultivation will also increase. The golden energy was extremely pure, and being surrounded by it made one feel comfortable.
This originally belonged to Xiaofan, but now he could only harden his heart and resist it, not absorbing a single bit.
Haha. You know your place. The pure energy radiance was resisted by Night Sorrow and floated away bit by bit. Ling Yun's face was full of enjoyment as he absorbed it. Lapis Lazuli was envious, but she didn't dare to do anything. She was obviously afraid of Ling Yun. The origin of the godly world is indeed extraordinary. After absorbing it completely, Ling Yun looked up to the sky and roared. Then, his expression changed.
He looked at Night Sorrow and said, "You must have extraordinary talent to be able to ascend from the lower realm.
I can spare your life, but I can't give you a chance to take revenge." As he spoke, Ling Yun raised his hand and pointed viciously. He wanted to destroy Night Sorrow's energy center and turn him into a cripple. B*****. Even though Night Sorrow had been through countless storms, he felt like his heart was being stabbed by a knife. There was a huge difference in their cultivation levels.
Ling Yun could indeed cripple him with a wave of his hand.
Night Sorrow, who had no ability to resist, could only use his remaining energy to protect his energy center. Night Sorrow. At this moment, Wu Lingfei, who was standing beside Night Sorrow, suddenly let out a phoenix cry and turned into a golden phoenix. She used the essence of her energy, which was her wings, to protect Night Sorrow. Even though Wu Lingfei was a big shot in the celestial realm, she couldn't withstand a blow from a godly god. Her wings were instantly smashed into a bloody mess, and her origin was directly damaged. Auntie Fei, why are you so silly? No matter how big the matter is, I, Night Sorrow, will take it on. Night Sorrow roared like an injured beast as he looked at Wu Lingfei, who was dying and covered in blood. Wu Lingfei had stood up for Night Sorrow many times since he started cultivating. Now that he was a god, Night Sorrow felt like his heart was being torn apart. Haha. If you want to take it on, I'll fulfill your wish. Ling Yun smiled. He enjoyed the feeling of controlling life and death.
However, just as Ling Yun was about to make a move, Lu Li, who was floating in the air and wearing a red robe, said, "Husband,
look at that golden phoenix. What's there to see about an ant?"
Ling Yun said unhappily.
Sir Divine Lord's birthday is in 800 years. Isn't husband lacking a gift that can satisfy Sir Divine Lord? I see that this golden phoenix has a pure bloodline. There aren't many phoenixes with such a bloodline in the entire godly world. Moreover, she is a virgin. She can be given to Sir Divine Lord. Lu Li's eyes flashed.
Wu Lingfei's sudden outburst had been seen through by Lu Li.
Yes. 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 Sir Divine Lord's original body is a sky-devouring sparrow. It's best to give this golden phoenix to Sir Divine Lord. Lu Li, you didn't let me down. Chapter 2364.
Each of the top 100 experts on the Divine Lord ranking was famous in the Divine Realm.
They had the chance to become the Divine King. Ordinary Divine Lords couldn't compare to them. Ling Yun was both respectful and afraid of the Purple Mansion Divine Lord. Naturally, he wanted to curry favor with him. This bitch's injuries are too severe. I'm afraid it won't be easy to save her. But if I can make the Divine Lord happy, it'll be worth it even if I have to use some pills. Wu Lingfei couldn't withstand a high god's attack. She lay on the ground in a bloody mess, her body corroded by divine power. If she wasn't treated, she would soon die. Ling Yun didn't delay. He used his divine power to put Wu Lingfei into his spatial artifact and fled with azurite. He didn't even attack Night Sorrow. Clearly, he didn't want to waste that moment. Auntie Fei. Yi Shang swears that he will definitely become stronger and save you in one piece. Ling Yun, you treat me like an ant today. I, Night Sorrow, will repay you 100-fold. Though they'd escaped disaster, Night Sorrow felt like a knife had cut his heart. If anything had happened to Wu Lingfei, his Dao heart would have been shattered. Fortunately, the Purple Mansion Divine Lord's birthday was in 800 years. This meant that Wu Lingfei would be safe in the short term. However, advancing to the Divine Realm was much more difficult than advancing to the Emperor Realm or the Imperial Tribulation Realm. Thus, 800 years was a short time. Grandfather, Sister Xian Xiao Luo. I'll heal you as soon as possible. As for that Ling Yun, I'll kill him. No one can humiliate the Yi family. No matter if he's a high god or a divine lord, he'll have to pay the price. Wu Lingfei's situation was worrying for the future. Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Xiaoluo's injuries were worrying for the immediate future. Knight Sorrow couldn't help but comfort them when he scanned them with his divine sense. Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Xiaoluo's condition wasn't as simple as their dantians being destroyed. More importantly, Ling Yun's divine power remained in their dantians, corroding them like poison. If he wanted to expel the divine power and repair the dantian of several people, he would need very high-grade divine elixirs or natural treasures. If he delayed for too long, his life would be in danger. Sister Xian, believes in you. Don't give yourself too much pressure, and don't take unnecessary risks. The God world is not simple. After being sent into the clear sky pagoda, Lin Piaomiao, whose face was as pale as a sheet of paper, began to earnestly instruct Yi Qingyu. There were too many experts in the divine world, and danger was everywhere. She was worried that Knight Sorrow wouldn't be able to change his mindset. She had previously used the name Lin Xian, but Knight Sorrow still called her sister Xian, Big Sister Xian, don't worry. I understand the principle of survival of the fittest. I won't be arrogant. After chatting with Lin Piaomiao for a while, Lu Yu, who was accompanying Yi Xiaoluo, was comforted by Knight Sorrow before he began to heal himself. Even with the clear sky pagoda's acceleration, it took 2 years for Knight Sorrow to fully recover from his injuries. After fully recovering, Knight Sorrow found a secluded valley and set up a defensive array. He called everyone out from the clear sky pagoda and said, "This is the first time we've come to the God world. Everyone knows nothing. Today, I'll set off to scout for information and find some opportunities. I've already set up a defensive array here. Although it's not a divine array, the surrounding demonic beasts can still block it. After I find the divine array diagrams and materials, I'll set up this place as our stronghold in the God world." He didn't have the slightest understanding of the God world. He didn't even know how the God realm was divided. He didn't have any God realm cultivation techniques or absolute arts, divine pill recipes, or array diagrams. He didn't know how to obtain the power of virtue, and he also didn't know how to upgrade the myriad Tao tome and heavenly halberd of samsara. It wasn't easy to become stronger quickly. Knight Sorrow understood that he couldn't afford any delays. "Husband, I'll go with you," Datura said. She was very worried that Knight Sorrow would have an accident. In the end, Knight Sorrow refused and left after a few words. Datura wasn't in the God realm and was like a celestial being. It would be easy for him to get into trouble if he showed himself in public. The energy in the God world was more condensed. The speed of flight was twice as slow as in the celestial realm. After 4 days, Knight Sorrow found a city by the sea called North Sea City. This city was grand and imposing. The area it occupied was millions of times larger than Sky City. When he entered the city, 2 armored guards demanded 5 divine crystals. Knight Sorrow knew that this was the rule. He took out a demonic core he obtained from killing a demonic beast on the way and said, "I don't have any divine crystals. Will this demonic core do?" The demonic wolf Knight Sorrow killed was half a step into the God realm. Its demonic core was worth at least 30 divine crystals. The 2 guards naturally let him pass. This guy is so generous and doesn't know anything. He must be a hothead who just entered the world. Why don't we sell this information to the high god Styx? Isn't he looking everywhere for feather gods without any support? One of the gods said after Knight Sorrow left. None of the helpers the high god Styx finds have a good ending. Wouldn't it be a crime to introduce them to him? The other guard said, "Who cares? It's fine as long as someone pays us divine crystals. If we don't earn more divine crystals, we won't be able to become gods." The guard said indifferently. The 2 of them used a secret method unique to the God world to transmit their voices. Knight Sorrow didn't notice. At this time, he was using his divine soul to investigate the situation in the city. It turned out that the God world was similar to the chaotic world. There were many shops in the city, such as alchemy shops, weapon refineries, restaurants, tea houses, and even playhouses and brothels. However, the cultivation environment was different. The cultivators in the God world were stronger. It was almost impossible to find anyone below the king realm in the city. Experts in the God realm could be seen everywhere. Divine crystals were similar to the spirit stones in the chaotic world, but they contained more energy and were more valuable. After entering the city, the penniless Knight Sorrow found a shop and sold a few half-step God Realm beast cores for 200 divine crystals. He bought some books and maps of the God world. Only now did Yi Shang understand just how strong Ling Yun and the Zifu Divine Lord were, and just how great the gap was between them. He knew just how many cultivation levels he would have to cross in 800 years. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. As for how to treat Yi Ling Huan, Lin Piao Miao, and Yi Xiao Luo, Knight Sorrow didn't find out. The most important thing now is how to get a God Realm cultivation technique. Without an immortal realm cultivation method, it was naturally impossible to increase one's cultivation. Sitting in a restaurant, Yi Shang listened to the stories of many legendary figures and thought about the first step he should take after arriving in the immortal realm. In the center of Hai Bei City, there was a huge cultivator market. Not only were there all kinds of shops in the market, there were also stalls. This made Yi Shang think back to his initial experience in the Heaven Realm. He secretly thought that with his ability to concoct pills, refine tools, and set up formations, he would be able to quickly accumulate experience. An even faster way to earn resources was to accept missions from the Wuji Pavilion or the Umbra Hall. The rewards for accepting missions from the Mercenary Guild in Hai Bei City were not as good as those two places. However, he could get some points from the guild and get a corresponding discount when exchanging for items in the future. Chapter 2365. The market in Hai Bei City was called the Sea and Sky Bazaar. There were all kinds of shops. There were nearly 100,000 stalls for cultivators to set up stalls, so there were many empty spots. When they arrived at the bazaar, Knight Sorrow found a white-robed law enforcement captain named Lu Zhongtian. He handed over 100 divine crystals and successfully signed a 1-year lease contract. The owner of the Sea and Sky Bazaar was Shangguan Yun, the city lord of Hai Bei City. The bazaar was the same as Hai Bei City. There was a law enforcement team. If there was a dispute, they could use force, but there had to be a valid reason. In addition, there was a commission and other related matters. Even if they paid the rent, they had to hand over 10% of the earned resources. It's easy to earn resources as a city lord, but it's a bit despicable to squeeze low-level cultivators to make money. Knight Sorrow couldn't help but mutter in his heart as he was led to the stall by a King Realm attendant. If he were the city lord, he wouldn't take the 10% bonus. Although the Feather God and the Supreme God were both in the immortal realm, they were two completely different realms. Knight Sorrow didn't like the city lord's behavior. After all, he was no match for him. Oh, there's a newcomer. He's a mid-level immortal realm expert. As soon as Knight Sorrow arrived at the stall, a yellow-robed old man at the left side of the stall looked at him with interest. This yellow-robed old man was half a step away from the immortal realm. He had a sage-like appearance and was setting up a fortune-telling stall. He asked with a smile, "Sir, you're an immortal realm expert. Why are you still here?" There weren't many immortal realm experts setting up stalls in the Sea and Sky Bazaar. There were less than 100 people, but there were many who ran shops. "I'm Knight Sorrow. I've just cultivated to the Feather God realm and came out of the wilderness. I'm short of resources, so I have no choice but to set up a stall here. Brother, just call me by my name. It's my first time here. Please take care of me." Yi Shang politely replied as he didn't slap a smiling face. "Lord Knight Sorrow, ignore that old bastard. He's nicknamed Old Swindler. He's a middle-level feather god and likes to pretend to be weak to take advantage of others. Swindling, whatever." At this moment, a fat cultivator who looked to be in his 20s was standing at a stall to the right of Knight Sorrow. His cultivation level was half a step away from immortal state. His stall was selling miscellaneous items such as books, elixirs, tools, materials, and herbs. However, the quality of the items was mediocre. Bah! How could you say that? I, Shen Jizi, was born with a kind heart. How am I a swindler? The old man, Shen Jizi, retorted. Haha, it's fine. It's fate that brought us together. How should I address you, brother? Knight Sorrow asked casually. However, the name Shen Jizi reminded him of an old friend, and he quickly recovered. Lord Knight Sorrow. My name is Neopatian, a human form of the Yao clan, the fat cultivator replied respectfully. Brother, your name is quite domineering. You don't have to stand on ceremony. Just call me by my name like you do. Why don't you two try the wine I brought from my hometown? Knight Sorrow took out 2 jars of wine brewed by Aoi from his storage space and gave them to Xianjizi and Neopatian. He was not in a hurry to set up his stall because Knight Sorrow was using his divine sense to observe the market. He was investigating the stalls selling elixirs, weapons, and array formations. He wanted to understand the basic market conditions and find a suitable price. Good wine. Although this wine was brewed in a primitive way, it's strong enough. It's a wine for men. I like it. Neopatian gulped down the wine and praised. It's indeed good wine. It's hard to find such pure wine in the immortal realm. Xianjizi sighed and asked, Brother Knight Sorrow, what are you going to sell? Selling my skills? I'm just trying to get something for nothing. Knight Sorrow, who had finished drinking the wine in the jar, was almost done with his research. He wrote on the stall, Immortal Realm Alchemist, Weapon Refiner, Array Formation Master. We accept all kinds of business at a discounted price. There were less than 100 Immortal Realm cultivators setting up stalls in the Ocean Sky Grand Bazaar. Among them, there were very few Immortal Realm Alchemists, Weapon Refiners, and Array Formation Masters. The competition was not fierce, and Knight Sorrow's price was reasonable. The Immortal Realm Alchemy and Array Formation business required the buyer to provide the blueprint, so the price was very low. It was 21%, which meant that the buyer provided 2 sets of materials and guaranteed 1 set of finished products. If both sets of materials failed, the buyer would have to pay the full price. The Immortal Realm Alchemy and Array Formation business and all Weapon Refiners business were 31%. As long as the materials were in place, the Weapon Refiner could make a divine artifact. There was no need for blueprints. It was related to the Weapon Refiner's cultivation and attributes. Brother Knight Sorrow, you're Immortal Realm Alchemist, Weapon Refiner, and Array Formation Master. Amazing, amazing. With your skills, you can go to the City Lord Mansion and have a good future. Why are you setting up a stall here? Xianjizi's eyes flashed. A Immortal Realm cultivator like Knight Sorrow had a bright future. He wanted to make friends with him. I'm a lazy person by nature, and I don't want to be controlled. I like to be free and unrestrained, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. That makes sense. Neopatian nodded in agreement. In fact, he was the same as Xianjizi. He didn't have any background, but he was happy to be free. Xianjizi continued, that makes sense. But Brother Knight Sorrow, everyone likes to find familiar faces to do alchemy and weapon refiners. You're new here, so I'm afraid business won't be easy. That's true. Everything is difficult at the beginning. On the first day of Knight Sorrow's stall, many cultivators came to check and ask about it, but no business took place. It was still the same on the second day. On the third day, Xianjizi finished reading a cultivator's fortune and walked to Knight Sorrow. He smiled and said, Brother Knight Sorrow, what do you think? I'll provide you with a set of materials. Can you help your elder brother improve the quality of this compass? If it can be improved to the immortal realm, I won't have to worry about business in the future. If it can't be improved, I won't need you to compensate me. Old liar, when did you become so generous? You're not planning something again, are you? Neopatian was immediately suspicious. When he first came to the market, Xianjizi had almost cheated him of all his wealth. Scram, what do you know? Xianjizi replied angrily and explained, Brother Knight Sorrow, you don't need to think too much. I just want to form good karma. I'll take it. To Knight Sorrow, who didn't have any immortal realm materials, this was undoubtedly a timely help. He remembered this favor and agreed without hesitation. These are the materials I need. Outer Realm Frost Iron, Dragon Tortoise Shell, Infinite Mysterious Ice Jade. Xianjizi was overjoyed. To him, this was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Brother Knight Sorrow, I've accumulated some immortal realm materials, but I don't need them for now. I'll give them to you for practice. Neopatian knew Xianjizi's character well. He was completely powerless, so he immediately joined in. What are you doing here? Chapter 2366. All right, since it's your kind intentions, I'll accept them. Knight Sorrow was not a greedy person. However, the materials that Neopatian gave him were purple gold divine stones. They were just enough to upgrade the 8-dragon cauldron. The 8-dragon cauldron was Knight Sorrow's treasure. It was necessary to upgrade it to the divine grade. He had to accept the materials and owe them a favor. I wonder how difficult it is to upgrade the 8-dragon cauldron in the divine world. After all, this was Knight Sorrow's first time forging an artifact in the god realm, so he could only feel his way through. However, he soon discovered that without the suppression of the divine Tao regulations, the difficulty of forging a divine artifact wasn't too high. Soon, the 8-dragon cauldron, which had been upgraded to a quasi-divine artifact, was forged. It was called a quasi-divine grade artifact because a real divine grade artifact had to go through a lightning tribulation. After a while, tribulation clouds gathered in the sky. The heavenly tribulation lightning struck one after another. What Xianjizi and Neopatian did not expect was that the 8-dragon cauldron would receive 3 lightning tribulation clouds. It turned out that they had enough materials. In addition, Knight Sorrow had the space-time attribute. During the refining process, he added the space-time attribute to the 8-dragon cauldron. Among the 3 lightning tribulations, the first one was for the divine grade artifact. The second and third ones were for the space-time attribute and the space-time attribute. 3 lightning tribulations. Xianjizi and Neopatian were excited. It's done. Seeing the lightning tribulation, Knight Sorrow was overjoyed. Others might be afraid of the lightning tribulation, but he was not. He carried the 8-dragon cauldron and soared into the sky. Awesome! It's a pity that the lightning tribulation is too weak. Knight Sorrow had cultivated the myriad Tao's treasured tome and strengthened his body with the everlasting body-tempering art. It was not difficult for him to withstand the lightning tribulation with his body. He passed the lightning tribulation quickly. However, the 8-dragon cauldron was upgraded after the lightning tribulation. It did not have much to do with him. Knight Sorrow's strength did not improve. Brother Knight Sorrow, come, take this divine grade chi replenishing pill. After Knight Sorrow passed the lightning tribulation, Xianjizi immediately took out a pill. Brother Knight Sorrow, come, take this divine grade pill from me. Neopatian took out a divine grade pill as well. There's no need for the pill. I'm fine. Yishang wasn't the type to take advantage of others. Since he had nothing to do, he naturally wouldn't accept their kindness. After adjusting his breathing for a while, Yishang stood up and roared, "Cauldron, come!" The 8-dragon cauldron, which had fallen to the ground, suddenly let out a dragon's roar and flew in front of Yishang to help him refine Xianjizi's compass. This time, the crowd was several times more than before. After all, it was rare to see a blacksmith who could forge 3 Thunder Tribulation divine tools in front of everyone. What they didn't know was that Knight Sorrow only added the space and time attributes because he didn't have enough raw materials and also because he was hiding his true abilities. He had the beginning and reincarnation attributes, the 2 taboo attributes. If he really went all out, who knew what kind of effect he could produce? In order to upgrade Xianjizi's compass, Knight Sorrow also added the space and time attributes. However, transcending the tribulation was Xianjizi's business. After that, Xianjizi took the compass and went through the tribulation together. He was not as domineering as Knight Sorrow, who had used all of his trump cards to barely pass through the tribulation lightning. His body had almost been shattered. Ha ha ha! I, Xianjizi, actually have 3 Thunder Tribulation feathers. And it's even fused with the time and space attributes. Brother Knight Sorrow, quickly accept a bow from your big brother. Xianjizi cut a sorry figure after being struck by the lightning tribulation, but he was quite excited. After getting up, he bowed to Knight Sorrow. The strength of a divine artifact of the Feather God level depended on how many lightning tribulations it had to go through. Under normal circumstances, the highest was 9 lightning tribulations, but a forbidden divine artifact could go beyond that. Brother, you don't have to be so polite with me. Knight Sorrow helped Xianjizi up, then looked at the envious Neopatian and said, Brother Patian, no need to be envious. When I have accumulated enough materials, I will also refine a divine artifact for you. But your cultivation is only half a step away from the immortal state now. I'm afraid that the divine artifact might not be easy to use. Neopatian looked to be about 20 years old, but he had been cultivating for many years. Knight Sorrow really could not call him brother. Thank you, Brother Knight Sorrow. Patian will work hard to improve his cultivation. Neopatian did not mind. He felt that the strong were respected.
After thanking him, he said in a low voice, "Brother Night Sorrow, you are very resourceful.
Your business will definitely not be bad. But you have to be careful of the white-robed law enforcement captain, Lu Zhongtian. He is a master who eats people without spitting out the bones." Thank you for the reminder. Night Sorrow did not pay too much attention to it.
In the world of cultivators, news spread very quickly.
Today, he had refined 3 Thunder Tribulation Divine artifacts, which would definitely bring him a lot of fame. Even if he did not stay in the Sea Sky Bazaar, business would still come to him. He was not afraid of the law enforcement at all. Then, Xian Jizi entered the space world of the compass and used the time acceleration to heal his injuries. Neopatian decided to close his stall and help Yi Chong. Although he looked fat, he was very professional when it came to taking orders and settling accounts. He didn't make any mistakes. With the promotion of 3 Thunder Tribulation Divine artifacts, Night Sorrow's business was very good. He did not stop refining for 9 months. He refined 4 Thunder Tribulation Divine artifacts with 3 Thunder Tribulation Divine artifacts, 7 Thunder Tribulation Divine artifacts with 2 Thunder Tribulation Divine artifacts, and more than 10 Thunder Tribulation Divine artifacts with 1 Thunder Tribulation Divine artifact. As for those below the immortal level, he could not count them. Alchemy business was all for elixirs below the immortal level because no one was willing to take out the blueprints of immortal level elixirs. As for array formation business, he did not receive any. Whether it was refining or refining elixirs, Night Sorrow's success rate was 100%. He had accumulated a lot of immortal level materials. He estimated that these materials were enough to set up a Feather God level defensive array formation in the valley. He only lacked the immortal level blueprints and a complete set of immortal level demon beast bones. The immortal level demon beast bones were not necessary to set up an array, but it was equivalent to having another immortal level demon beast guarding the mountain. It was very necessary to get one. Do you know how to find a complete set of immortal level demon beast bones? It would be best if they were of the upper Feather God level, and even better if they were of the High God level. Also, what is the price of the immortal level blueprints? After 9 months of continuous work, Night Sorrow, who had exhausted his energy, stopped taking orders and prepared to rest for a few days. He would return to the valley to take a look and send some cultivation resources to his clansmen. Before he left, he would make some preparations. Immortal level blueprints and complete sets of immortal level demon beast bones are rare in High Bay City. They may appear in the auction house occasionally, but the price is quite expensive. Xian Jizi explained and continued, especially the immortal level blueprints. Every time they appear, they will be auctioned for a sky-high price, even higher than immortal level cultivation techniques. After a few months of interaction, Xian Jizi and Neopatian understood that Night Sorrow did not have any immortal level crystals on him. He did not even have any immortal level cultivation techniques or absolute arts. All he had were the materials he obtained from refining equipment. He was not very rich, so it was not easy to get immortal level blueprints or immortal level demon beast bones. It seems like it is not easy to set up an immortal level defensive array formation. Night Sorrow muttered to himself. In fact, it was not only the immortal level blueprints that were hard to obtain. The various forces, sects and clans in the divine world all valued cultivation techniques, absolute arts, and elixir recipes very highly. Master Night Sorrow, do you need a complete set of immortal level demon beast bones and immortal level blueprints? This one may be able to help. Chapter 2367. How should I address you? Night Sorrow asked as he sized up the male cultivator. He was a high-tier feather god. I am Situ Lai. I have come to bring you a great opportunity, Grandmaster Night Sorrow. The male cultivator cupped his hands. What opportunity? Yishan asked. He didn't believe that there was such a thing as a free lunch. At that moment, Xian Jizi used a secret technique to send a message to Night Sorrow. Brother Night Sorrow. This Situ Lai is a subordinate of High God Styx. In the past 30 years, High God Styx has recruited many feather gods. These feather god realm loose cultivators all disappeared after being recruited. Don't promise Situ Lai anything. There's such a thing? It seems that this so-called great opportunity is actually a great danger. Night Sorrow was on guard, but he didn't reject Situ Lai directly. Instead, he asked, Brother Situ,
What is this great opportunity you speak of?
You can tell me directly. Wu Ling concubine had been taken away, and Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Xiaolua were still waiting for treatment. Yi Shang, who was desperate for resources, wanted to hear what had happened.
Of course I can be frank. Situ Lai nodded slightly and sent a message to Knight Sorrow.
Grandmaster Knight Sorrow, I won't hide it from you. My Lord Styx discovered a cave abode 30 years ago. This cave abode was left behind by the divine Lord Jin Yuan. His inheritance is not to be underestimated. However, the divine Lord Jin Yuan set up a special restriction that only feather gods can enter. It was my Lord Styx's idea to bring you here. Are the wandering cultivators of the divine feather realm who have gone missing in recent years related to this cave? Yi Shang asked directly. That's true.
It was because of the sacrifice of these feather gods that my lord was able to learn about the cave abode. Situ Lai explained, then continued. The divine Lord Jin Yuan is not only powerful, but he is also skilled in formations and alchemy. His inheritance is very rich. There is more than one set of divine-level Yao skeletons here. As for the divine feather realm cultivators who had died in the cave abode, they were only there to test the waters. The strongest among them was only a mid-level divine feather realm cultivator, and there was no formation master among them. The next time they entered, there would be a dozen or so high-tier feather gods leading the team, as well as several array masters. If Master Knight Sorrow joins us, our chances of success will be much higher. If I go, what's the reward?
How should we distribute the resources we found? Situ Lai talked non-stop. He was a powerful lobbyist. Knight Sorrow had to admit from the bottom of his heart that the pill formulas and array diagrams were very tempting to him. If he could really find a divine lord-level pill formula, then maybe there would be a way to heal Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Xiaolua's injuries. The issue of rewards and resource allocation is decided by my high god Styx. I'm just a lobbyist. However, at the end of the day, rewards and resources were distributed according to one's ability. If Master can display extraordinary abilities in front of my lord, then the reward will be very generous. In Situ Lai's eyes, Knight Sorrow was only a low-level divine feather realm cultivator. His strength was negligible. His value was reflected in alchemy and formations. Breaking into the cave abode of others was very dangerous, so alchemists and formation masters were very useful. Knight Sorrow naturally understood the meaning behind his words. He was also happy that his strength was ignored. The more he was underestimated, the harder it was for him to be targeted. After pondering for a moment, Knight Sorrow said, I understand. I need to think about it seriously. I'll give you an answer in a month.
Good.
In a month, I'll bring you to see Lord Styx. If you need anything, Master Knight Sorrow can tell my lord.
Goodbye.
Situ Lai saw that things were looking good. He left behind a message crystal and left happily. The world was bustling with activity for profit, and it was even more so for cultivators. Situ Lai believed that Knight Sorrow would not reject him in the end. Brother Knight Sorrow, you mustn't be rash. With your ability, you can easily establish yourself in High Bay City. There's no need to take risks. I heard that High God Styx is temperamental and has a bad reputation. Cooperating with him is like asking a tiger for its skin. After Situ Lai left, Knight Sorrow told Xian Jizi and Neopatian about this matter. Xian Jizi's expression immediately became serious. Neopatian also said worriedly, there are so many divine feather realm cultivators in High Bay City, but Situ Lai chose you. There must be something fishy about this. I'll consider this matter carefully. Also, I'll be leaving for a few days. If there's any business, please help me take it. Knight Sorrow understood that Situ Lai came to him because he had the ability to refine pills, set up formations, and break formations. Moreover, he was a loose cultivator and was easy to control. Knight Sorrow was naturally inclined to go, but in the end, he still had to meet High God Styx to make a decision. After leaving the stall, Knight Sorrow went to the cultivator shop to sell some of the divine-grade materials. He bought materials to upgrade the Clear Sky Pagoda, Blood Qilin Evil Slaying Spear, and Reincarnation Halberd, as well as cultivation resources suitable for cultivators below the divine realm. The Clear Sky Pagoda, Blood Qilin Evil Slaying Spear, and Reincarnation Halberd were divine artifacts in the lower realm. However, due to the suppression of the heavenly Tao, there was a big gap between them and true divine artifacts. After buying the materials,
Knight Sorrow stepped on the road back to the valley. If he went to explore the cave, he did not know when he would return. He had to inform his clansmen first and give them cultivation resources at the same time. On the way back in a remote mountain, Knight Sorrow used 9 days to upgrade the Clear Sky Pagoda, Blood Chelan Evil Slaying Spear, and Reincarnation Halberd into true divine artifacts. The Clear Sky Pagoda was a fusion of time and space attributes. It was a divine artifact with 3 Thunder Tribulation feathers. The Blood Chelan Evil Slaying Spear was a fusion of time, space, life, and death attributes. It was a combination of time, space, life, and death attributes. It was a divine artifact with 5 Thunder Tribulation feathers. As for the Reincarnation Halberd, it was a fusion of reincarnation attributes. It was a combination of destruction, time, and infinity attributes. Because it was a taboo attribute, it was a divine artifact with 10 Thunder Tribulation feathers. Knight Sorrow used his body to withstand the Thunder Tribulation of the Clear Sky Pagoda and Blood Chelan Evil Slaying Spear. However, the Thunder Tribulation of the Reincarnation Halberd caused him to suffer light injuries. However, the injuries were not serious. He recovered quickly in the Clear Sky Pagoda. Not good. Someone is attacking the valley. On this day, when there was still some distance from the valley, Knight Sorrow suddenly felt his heart palpitate. He could feel that someone was destroying the defensive formation. The attacker should be a divine realm cultivator. He immediately used the Void Step Spacetime Realm. At this time, outside the valley, a middle-level feather god with a pale face was breaking the formation with brute force. He was wearing bright clothes and had an evil smile on his face. He shouted, "Little ladies, don't be afraid without the protection of a divine realm expert. In the future, I, Shangguan Lin, will be your backer." Just now, Datura and Xueshi brought a few juniors to drink tea in the valley. Shangguan Lin, who was passing by in the air, just happened to see them. He was immediately shocked. Evil thoughts immediately arose in his heart. He did not know about formations, so he attacked with brute force. What to do? This person is a divine realm expert. We can't resist at all. The formation that husband set up probably won't last long either. Chapter 2368. Auntie, don't be afraid. We men will hold them off. Auntie and sisters, take the women and escape first. Yi Xiaoke was Knight Sorrow's youngest child, but he didn't back down at this crucial moment. He stood in front of them full of fighting spirit. Yes. Auntie, leave first. Yi Lingxi wasn't good with words, but she stood out as well. What are you running for? The women of the Yi family aren't afraid of death. At most, we'll die to show our sincerity. Your father will avenge us. The hot-tempered Yang Lei roared. Yes. At most we'll die. Let's fight it out with this fellow. Yi Qingyan agreed. Ha ha ha. Show our sincerity with death? You won't have such a chance. Next, I'll show you the power of a god. Accompanied by wild laughter, a hole was blasted in the formation. Shangguan Lin appeared in front of everyone in the blink of an eye. He released his god-level vital energy, causing everyone to be unable to stand up, let alone attack. The Divine Feather Realm was much stronger than the Divine Soul Unification Realm or the Imperial Tribulation Realm. They were on a completely different level. That day, Lin Piaomiao and Yi Xiaoluo were able to attack because he didn't release his aura. Today, under Shangguan Lin's pressure, the Night Moon clan members truly felt the difference between them. If we don't die, we must become stronger. Yi Xiaoke clenched his teeth. We're not ants. We can't just be a burden. Yi Lingxi was the same. Actually, this was also the voice of the Yi family members. They were extremely glorious in the lower world. How could they tolerate a life of being bullied? Even if this was the divine world, they couldn't. Beautiful. This beauty has the spirit of a king who covets the world. Shangguan Lin smiled evilly at Datura, then looked greedily at Yi Xiaolei. This one is not bad either. She has a stubborn spirit. I like to tame this kind of unruly person. Looking at them one by one, Shangguan Lin praised. Beautiful, so beautiful. All of them are outstanding beauties. Today, I have more than 10 beauties to enjoy. I'm blessed. Xikong Chuyu, Xueshi, and the others who were swept by Shang Guanlin's gaze felt as if they had goosebumps all over their bodies. They felt extremely uncomfortable, but they had no ability to resist. They couldn't even die even if they wanted to. This made them feel helpless. Shameless bastard. Yi Shang's father, Yi Wuyo, was suppressed to the point where he had to burn his essence blood before cursing. Shameless after a few glances? Beast after a few words? Next, I'll show you what a real shameless beast is. Shang Guanlin laughed evilly. What do you want? Test. Who are you? He's uses S. Test. Spoil your plans? You can say that because you're going to die today. He had been humiliated by Ling Yun as soon as he had arrived in the God realm. From that moment on, Yi Shang, who had been extremely depressed, had sworn that he would not let any harm come to his family. If he had not coincidentally returned today, the consequences would have been unimaginable. His anger had already exploded uncontrollably. Knight Sorrow didn't want to waste his breath on this beast. He used the void steps to teleport in front of his people, condensed his vital energy, and attacked with the blood-Qilin evil-slaying spear. You're overestimating yourself. Since you're looking for death, I'll deal with you first before taking care of these beauties. Shang Guanlin didn't panic in the face of Knight Sorrow's attack. He took out a long halberd from his spatial artifact and faced it head-on. As a mid-level feather god, Shang Guanlin had absolute confidence in himself. He didn't believe that this low-level feather god could compete with him in terms of strength. You're looking for death. Do you think you're fit to call yourself Lord? Knight Sorrow said disdainfully when he saw that Shang Guanlin chose to meet force with force. He didn't know any god-tier secret arts, but he had two forbidden attributes. His body had cultivated the 10,000 Tao Tome, and he had the power of merit to protect him. His strength and body were far stronger than ordinary low-level feather gods. Boom! Both of them chose to use their strength to attack. After the collision, Shang Guanlin's body flew backward rapidly and was directly blasted out of the valley. How can this be? His strength is so terrifying. Is he still a low-level feather god? Shang Guanlin was shocked as he flew backward. He didn't expect the difference in strength between them to be so great. This person's strength is extraordinary. I'm afraid he's on par with some high-level feather gods. I have to use my treasure to fight or use my secret arts. You want to use your secret arts? It's too late. Knight Sorrow had fought all the way from Bamboo Garden Village to the Divine World. He had rich combat experience and wouldn't give his opponent any chance. He used the blood-Qilin evil-slaying spear's attributes to attack. Space-time destruction / immeasurable clock. Protect. Shang Guanlin, who wanted to counterattack, could only summon a defensive treasure to defend himself. Shang Guanlin, who was passively defending, didn't expect that space-time destruction / was just a feint. When he used the immeasurable clock to protect himself with two thunder tribulation feathers, Knight Sorrow sneered and used the Samsara halberd to launch a fatal attack. I'll let you feel the power of the forbidden reincarnation. The Samsara halberd, which had been upgraded to the 10 thunder tribulation feathers, could directly attack the divine soul. Without foundation and support in the divine world, Knight Sorrow felt that he couldn't give his opponent any chance to ask for help in the battle. Without hesitation, he directly used his strongest trump card and shattered Shang Guanlin's divine soul in one move. This is the power of the forbidden attribute, the power of reincarnation. Shang Guanlin realized that he had offended a ruthless person. This was no ordinary low-level feather god at all. With his divine soul shattered and his life in danger, Shang Guanlin's face was ashen. He begged for mercy. Sir, please spare my life. I'm the cousin of Shang Guanyun, the city lord of Haibei City. I'll compensate you for today's offense. Any amount of divine crystals will do. You want compensation? That's easy. Just destroy your divine soul. Knight Sorrow would never show mercy to those who touched his reverse scale. He used the Samsara halberd again. Before he died, Shang Guanlin roared, "The Shangguan family will not let you go. You can't escape the Shangguan family's investigation if you kill me. You bullied my family. Even if the Divine King or the Juggernaut himself came, I, Knight Sorrow, would still kill you. You're just a mid-level feather god in my eyes." As soon as Knight Sorrow finished speaking, The energy from the Samsara halberd blasted Shangguan Lin, who had lost his protective chi, into pieces.
A spatial artifact?
Knight Sorrow discovered that Shangguan Lin's spatial artifact was left behind. After checking, he found that Shangguan Lin was quite rich. Not to mention the immeasurable bell and the evil dragon halberd, there were no less than 50,000 divine crystals overflowing with spiritual energy. There were also various elixirs and refining materials piled up, including 3 divine-grade teleportation crystals. There were no divine-grade cultivation techniques or elixir recipes, but there were 5 or 6 bottles of divine-grade elixirs. However, to Knight Sorrow's surprise, there was a divine-grade array diagram. There was also a black diamond-shaped token made of an unknown material. Knight Sorrow did not figure out the use of this token, so he kept it in his spatial artifact.
I really have to thank you, Knight Sorrow thought. Chapter 2369. Bastard!
Little brother Lin actually died in my territory. How am I going to explain this to my family? While Knight Sorrow was searching for Shangguan Lin's spatial treasure, a divine soul lamp in the seaside city lord's mansion was extinguished. The city lord Shangguan Yun's face turned cold as he instructed a black shadow, Phantom Shadow. Take brother Lin's divine soul lamp and go find the murderer.
Yes.
Phantom took the divine soul lamp and disappeared like a ghost. Using the divine soul lamp to track down the location of a disciple who had just died was a common method in the realm of the gods. A few days later, Phantom, who was an upper-level feather god, rushed to the scene of the incident with 3 middle-level feather gods, but the valley was empty.
A taboo attribute appeared.
The murderer is most likely a feather god cultivator with a taboo attribute. They didn't find anyone, but Phantom managed to find some clues from the remnants of the battle. When Phantom returned to the seaside city lord's mansion to report, Knight Sorrow was drinking tea with his wife and children on an uninhabited island. For safety reasons, he left the valley with his family not long after killing Shangguan Lin. This island was more than 1,000,000 kilometers away from Seaside City. There were only a few low-level monsters on the island, so it was very suitable for cultivation. Knight Sorrow used the formation map he had just obtained to set up a formation that would be difficult for feather gods to break through with brute force. He also used 2 divine-level crystals to set up a teleportation formation. If someone tried to break through the formation again, his family could use the crystals to activate the teleportation formation and leave. I came back this time to distribute cultivation resources to everyone. I know it's hard for everyone to live like this. However, the realm of the gods is too complicated. I don't want anything to happen to any of you. Knight Sorrow sat on a bamboo chair and took a sip of tea. He continued, whoever breaks through to the feather god realm first can go out and explore. Otherwise, they won't be able to protect themselves. Husband, what's the situation in the realm of the gods? Are there many experts? Datura asked. She had suffered a lot recently, so she wanted to become stronger quickly. As for Shangguan Lin, she didn't want to talk about it at all. The realm of the gods is very big. We're currently in a barren land near the sea. But in one of the cities, there are hundreds and thousands of deity realm cultivators. After explaining the general situation of the god world and the cultivation levels, Knight Sorrow said, the other thing is that I am preparing to go to a god monarch's cave to look for opportunities. It was unknown how many years he would be gone. But before I leave, I will bring back some cultivation resources. I hope you can all become gods as soon as possible. After the recent setbacks, everyone's determination to become a god has reached its peak. In addition, the cultivation environment in the realm of the gods is so good, and there's also the acceleration of time. I believe that it won't be long before the Yi clan's first divinity expert other than you will be born.
Sikong Chuyu, who was brewing tea, said.
She really hoped that someone in the Yi clan would stand up and help Knight Sorrow. Father, Xiaofan and I should be able to become deities very soon, Yi Lingxi said confidently. Yi Lingxi and Yi Xiaofan were born later than the rest of the Yi clan. Their talent was outstanding, and their cultivation speed was one of the best among the Yi clan.
Good.
I really hope that you can be independent soon. Holing up on a deserted island is not something the Yi clan should do. Sooner or later, we will establish our own power, kill that Ling Yun, and bring back Aunt Fei. Wu Lingfei's capture had always been a knot in Knight Sorrow's heart. Father, we will not disappoint you. Knight Sorrow's children, daughter-in-law, and son-in-law said in unison.
You all have some tea.
I will go to the spatial artifact to visit grandfather and the rest. Entering the spatial artifact left for everyone, Knight Sorrow saw that Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Xiaolua's faces were very pale. They should be suffering from bone-piercing pain. Knight Sorrow asked with heartache, "How do you feel?"
Not bad.
In the spatial artifact, I should be able to last for another 30 to 40 years. Lin Piaomiao said honestly.
What? Only 30 to 40 years.
Hearing this, Knight Sorrow's heart skipped a beat. 30 to 40 years was a short time in the world of cultivators. Perhaps this time, when he went to the cave abode to search for opportunities, it would be more than 30 to 40 years. Knight Sorrow, who was originally looking forward to finding a suitable pill formula or treasure in the cave abode, immediately changed his mind. He secretly thought that even if he went to the god Jin Yuan's cave abode, he had to find a pill or treasure that could heal the three of them, no matter the price.
Grandfather, Sister Xiaoluo, don't worry. I will definitely heal you.
Unable to bear to stay any longer, Knight Sorrow left the spatial artifact after a few words. After having a simple meal with his family members, Knight Sorrow used the remaining materials to refine a divine artifact. Time was tight, so Knight Sorrow rushed back to High Bay City with the newly refined 5 Thunder Tribulations defensive robe.
Big brother Knight Sorrow. You are finally back. You were gone and we couldn't complete the orders we accepted. The customers have come to cause trouble several times.
As soon as Knight Sorrow returned to the stall, Neopatian said with a worried face.
It's okay. I will start refining now. Why isn't brother Xian Jizi here?
After receiving the orders and the spatial artifact filled with materials from Neopatian, Knight Sorrow asked as he sorted out the materials for refining pills and equipment. Before the old liar left, he said that a big shot asked him to do a divination, but he didn't say who it was. In this High Bay City, there are only 5 god-level big shots.
It should be one of them, Neopatian guessed.
There were a total of 5 god-level powerhouses in High Bay City. City Lord Shangguan Yun, Mercenary Guild President Long Xian, Wuji Pavilion Master Murong Yuan, Umbra Hall Master Ling Xiaoya, and Rogue Cultivator Mingi. Xian Jizi was indeed asked by one of them. At this time, he was helping Shangguan Yun divine the murderer of Shangguan Lin in the City Lord Mansion.
Damn it! What is this?
Originally, Xian Jizi was quite excited when City Lord Shangguan Yun asked him to do a divination. However, he used the compass to calculate that the person who killed Shangguan Lin had great karma with the compass. The only person who has great karma with my compass is Brother Knight Sorrow. It seems that Shangguan Lin was killed by him.
What should I do?
Xian Jizi, who kept making divination gestures, was quite conflicted. He had been in High Bay City for tens of thousands of years, but he didn't make a name for himself. Now, he had just made friends with Knight Sorrow, who had a bright future, and he encountered such a thing.
Xian Jizi, did you divine something?
Although Xian Jizi looked calm, City Lord Shangguan Yun felt that his vitality was a little unstable.
It seems.
Xian Jizi pinched his fingers, frowning as he pondered. In his heart, he was thinking about how to choose. Shangguan Yun had promised that if he could divine the murderer's identity, he would reward him with a Green Dragon Origin Building Pill. The Green Dragon Origin Building Pill could directly raise a Feather God's level by 1 grade. Xian Jizi was a middle-level Feather God. After taking it, he could be promoted to an upper-level Feather God, saving him countless years of cultivation.
How does it seem?
Shangguan Yun asked. He had been in a high position for a long time, and his strength was outstanding. A simple sentence from him could intimidate people.
Chapter 2370. What's going on? Hurry up and say it. Don't stutter.
Shangguan Yun questioned sullenly. The aura of a superior was even more oppressive. It scared Xian Jizi until his body trembled somewhat. He hurriedly said, Yes, I can't divine it. After struggling in his heart for a long time, Xian Jizi finally decided to stand on Knight Sorrow's side. He thought to himself, I'm really standing on the edge of a cliff this time. If this matter is exposed one day, the consequences will be unimaginable. City Lord Shangguan Yun's strength was unfathomable. It was completely not what a Feather God realm could contend with. It brought him tremendous pressure.
Are you deliberately toying with me? Xian Jizi looked like he was deliberately mystifying. In the end, he did not say the reason.
Shangguan Yun raised his eyebrows and was about to fly into a rage.
City Lord, calm your anger. It's just that I didn't divine it, afraid that my lord would blame me. I don't know how to say it. Xian Jizi was frightened until he hurriedly bowed. This Shangguan Yun was an existence that could kill him with one slap. Get lost. Shangguan Yun snorted coldly and ordered Xian Jizi to retreat.
He said to the void behind him, "Pay attention to the movements of all cultivators in the city.
If anyone with taboo attributes appears, immediately report to me."
Yes. A response came from the void.
Sigh. On the way back to the Sea-Sky Grand Bazaar, Xian Jizi sighed. Returning to the front of the stall, seeing Night Sorrow refining artifacts, Xian Jizi was a little relieved. He thought to himself, younger brother Night Sorrow is like nothing happened. Why should I be afraid of wolves and tigers? After this incident, Xian Jizi admired Night Sorrow's calm and composed temperament even more. He felt that he was bound to achieve something. To be able to befriend such a person before he rose up was a blessing. But the time they knew was too short. Xian Jizi naturally would not completely trust Night Sorrow. It was impossible to mention Shangguan Lin's matter, afraid of being silenced. Returning to the stall, Xian Jizi said, "Younger brother Night Sorrow, a few days ago when you weren't around, a female cultivator came to look for you.
Said that there was a formation to be broken.
You weren't around, so she left the address. Said that when you come back, you can directly go to the residence.
The reward will be very generous."
Could it be a romantic encounter?
Hearing this, Nyo Potian laughed.
I can't go for now. With so many orders for pills and equipment, how could he have the time to go out? A man can't stand without trust. You have to complete the order before you think about anything else. With nearly a year's worth of experience in the God realm, Night Sorrow's artificing skills had become much more proficient and efficient. As he spoke, a feather god grade spear was produced. Good gun. Grandmaster Yi forged 3 lightning tribulation feathers, and the quality is so high. When the spear came out, a black-robed female cultivator, who had been waiting for a long time, cupped her fists to Night Sorrow and thanked him. Then, she took the spear and prepared to transcend the tribulation. This black-robed female cultivator's strength was not very strong, but her aura was not weak at all. She held the long spear and fought against the heavenly tribulation without flinching at all. She was quite a woman who was not inferior to men. No. At this moment, Night Sorrow spoke up to stop her. Miss, please don't be anxious. Judging from your aura, you should have just broken through to the lower-level feather god realm. If you recklessly transcend the tribulation with a long spear, I'm afraid you won't be able to withstand 3 lightning tribulations. Night Sorrow's eyes were outstanding. He knew that this female cultivator was not very strong and judged that it would be difficult for her to transcend the lightning tribulations. If she forcefully transcended the lightning tribulations, she would probably end up dead. Thank you for your reminder, Grandmaster Yi. However, Ji Hong's family's divine vein has been seized, and her parents are being held hostage. Her life is at stake. Although that traitor is also a lower-level feather god like Ji Hong, he is much stronger. Ji Hong has to rely on these 3 lightning tribulation feathers to be able to fight, so the lightning tribulations must be transcended.
Ji Hong explained and prepared to soar into the sky.
Wait, Ji Hong. You are eager to save people and your filial piety is commendable, but if you forcefully transcend the tribulation, you will be like a moth flying into a flame. Ji Hong's experience reminded Night Sorrow of Wu Lingfei. He immediately felt pity for her and handed over the 5 lightning tribulations defensive robe that he had refined on the island, saying, "This is a god-level defensive robe with 5 lightning tribulation feathers. It can help you block part of the lightning tribulations. Put it on." This robe was prepared by Night Sorrow for the trip to the Zhenyuan Divine Lord's cave residence. It fused with the Void attribute and was called the Void Robe. When Ji Hong put it on, it could block most of the lightning tribulations. Thank you so much, Master Knight. Ji Hong is extremely grateful. If I can save my parents, I will definitely return to serve Master Knight. Ji Hong, who received the Void Robe, understood the value of the god-level defensive robe with 5 lightning tribulation feathers. She immediately knelt down to thank Yi Shiwen. Night Sorrow, who had guessed this, stopped Ji Hong, who was already half kneeling, and said,
I am only helping you because I need to follow my Tao heart.
There is no need to repay me. Quickly transcend the tribulation and save your parents.
Yes. Ji Hong was eager to save her parents.
She knew that now was not the time to be polite. She responded and soared into the sky with her spear, facing the lightning tribulation. Even with the void robe's help, Ji Hong's lightning tribulation was still frightening. Her entire body was almost shattered. Fortunately, she managed to transcend the lightning tribulation safely. Master Knight, thank you. Ji Hong will never forget you. After transcending the lightning tribulation, Ji Hong immediately returned the void robe. She then swallowed a few pills that emitted dense mist and stumbled out of the crowd. What a strange woman. Knight Sorrow's original intention was to give the void robe to Ji Hong for revenge. However, Ji Hong returned it before leaving. He smiled slightly. Brother Knight Sorrow, you are truly a compassionate philanthropist. Xian Jizi, who had witnessed everything, said. He transmitted his voice. But as the saying goes, don't show off your wealth. Now, everyone in the market knows that you have a defensive robe with 5 lightning tribulation feathers. Who knows, some people might have other ideas. I understand that a man's wealth is his own ruin. However, Knight Sorrow's cultivation is to have a clear Tao heart. If Ji Hong dies because of the spear I refined, my Tao heart will be unstable if I don't save her despite having the ability to do so. As for trouble, I'll just deal with it as it comes. Knight Sorrow smiled indifferently. Although Lin Yun said those words casually, they touched Xian Jizi's heart. He judged that Knight Sorrow was definitely not a sinister and cunning person. He transmitted his voice. Brother Knight Sorrow, I won't hide it from you. I'm going to the City Lord's manor today to help him divine who killed Shangguan Lin. Then, he explained in detail how the City Lord Shangguan Yun sought him out for a divination. Thank you for the reminder. Xian Jizi's words shocked Knight Sorrow. If Shangguan Yun divined that he was the one who killed Shangguan Lin, the consequences would be unimaginable. In the next session, no one could divine Knight Sorrow's situation, which made him neglect this path. In fact, Knight Sorrow had a taboo attribute. Only cultivators with a much higher cultivation than him could divine his situation. For example, Shangguan Yun had found more than 10 divine feather diviners to divine Shangguan Lin's matter, but none of them could divine anything. Xian Jizi had been able to divine some clues because his compass Dharma artifact had been refined by Yi Shang. Chapter 2371. There were many onlookers in the market, and most of them were discussing what had just happened, especially Knight Sorrow's 5 Tribulation Lightning Feather God magic robe. A magic robe of this level was not something an ordinary rogue cultivator could possess, and many people were envious of it. Situ Lai's words were like a loud bell, intimidating everyone, telling them that this was the person High God Styx wanted to meet. Thank you, Brother Situ, for helping Knight Sorrow out. Knight Sorrow knew that Situ Lai was trying to get on his good side, so he thanked him and said, Let me pack up a bit, and then we'll leave. Knight Sorrow sorted out the materials for refining pills and tools, and said a few words to Xian Jizi and Neopatian before following Situ Lai to meet one of the strongest experts in High Bay City, High God Styx. The mansion of a God Realm expert is indeed impressive. Styx was a rogue cultivator, but he had also formed his own force. His mansion was located in the northwest corner of High Bay City, and it occupied a large area, 100 times larger than the island Knight Sorrow had arranged for his clansmen. There were many buildings in it, and it was like a city of its own. Master Knight Sorrow, please wait for a moment, I'll go and inform him. After entering the mansion, Situ Lai and Knight Sorrow exchanged pleasantries, and then prepared to inform Styx. There were some areas in the mansion that no one was allowed to enter without Styx's permission. At this time, a dignified and loud voice came from the depths of the mansion. Situ Lai, bring him to the meeting room. Yes. Hearing Mingi's summons, Situ Lai cupped his hands and bowed towards the distance. He made an inviting gesture and said, Grandmaster Yi Shang, let's go. I wonder what level High God this Styx is, but he is indeed much stronger than the Feather God. Knight Sorrow replied and walked forward, but in his heart, he was praising this High God Styx. It seemed like a simple call, but it was actually a display of strength. According to Knight Sorrow's judgment, he was far from being Styx's opponent, and it was unknown if he could even escape with his life. He was secretly on guard after all.
He had to be wary of others. You are Master Knight Sorrow, who is proficient in alchemy, artifact forging, and array formations? Knight Sorrow followed Situ Lai into a majestic hall. Sitting in the center of the hall, Mingi asked with narrowed eyes. 16 cultivators of the Divine Feather Realm sat on both sides of the Nether River. Only one of them was a mid-level Divine Feather, while the rest were all high-level Divine Feather. In addition to these people, there was also a thin upper-level Feather God standing behind Mingi. He was Mingzi Qingming, Mingi's advisor. High God of the River Styx. Knight Sorrow was indeed proficient in alchemy, artifact forging, and array formations, but he was not proficient in any of them. I don't deserve the title of master. Mingi sat and asked, but he didn't give them a seat. There was a kind of arrogance in him. Knight Sorrow was a little unhappy. He was invited here, not volunteered to join anyone. Why are you putting on airs in front of me? He stood where he was and replied in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing. He didn't do anything. How dare you? How dare you be so arrogant when Lord Mingi asks you a question? Who gave you the guts? Do you even know etiquette? A cultivator in a yellow robe sitting in the seat immediately slammed the table and stood up. He was called Wenren Hao, an upper-level Divine Feather. He was one of the top 10 generals under Mingi. For a long time, cultivators of the Divine Feather Realm would naturally show respect and humility when they saw Mingi. Knight Sorrow's attitude made him feel uncomfortable. He thought to himself, "You're just a low-level Divine Feather. What are you showing off for?" "Ha! What do you mean?" Knight Sorrow replied coldly. He was like this. If people respected him, he would respect them 10 times over. Otherwise, no matter how strong you were, he wouldn't spoil you. Do you know that you have to be respectful when facing the strong? You didn't even greet the strong when they asked you a question. Are you provoking Lord Mingi? Wenren Hao said angrily. Hearing this, Knight Sorrow smiled and said, "Sorry. I respect the heavens and the earth, but I also respect the strong. But when others ask questions, I don't have the habit of bowing to answer. This is also why I became a wandering cultivator." Knight Sorrow made his attitude clear when he said that. "I'm not anyone's subordinate. Don't talk nonsense with me. I don't know what's good for me. Please allow Wenren Hao to fight with you." Wenren Hao had a fiery temper. "Nonsense. You're a guest. Wenren Hao, are you slapping me in the face by treating your guest like this?" Mingi, who was observing Knight Sorrow, scolded Wenren Hao and asked, "Do you think I'm being rude?" As a high god, Mingi had a temperament of harmony with his body and Tao. He had a great pressure on Divine Feather Realm cultivators. Before Knight Sorrow could reply, Mingi continued, "I don't think you're being rude. In the Divine Realm, the strong are always respected. My fist is bigger than yours. That's the hard truth. If you want to win my respect, you have to show the corresponding ability. With your strength as a lower feather god, it's naturally not enough." Not only Mingi, but everyone else present did not take Yi Shang's cultivation seriously. Yi Shang was happy to do so. He said, "Lord Mingi, do you want to test my alchemy, crafting and matrices?" Knight Sorrow, your refining ability has already spread in High Bay City. There's no need to test it. But if you only know how to refine, it won't be of much help to the matter of entering the Divine Lord Jinyuan's residence. You're only a lower feather god. Your battle strength won't be of much help to this matter. You still need to prove that you're qualified to be valued in Pill Dao or Array Dao. Mingi didn't continue speaking. Qing Qingzi, who was standing behind him, explained. Hearing this, Knight Sorrow wasn't surprised. He asked, "Then how do I prove it?" Very simple. In the Divine Lord Jinyuan's residence or tomb, there's a kind of soul-devouring evil wind. It blows once every 3 months. This soul-devouring evil wind is very scary. You have to enter a specific area and set up a defensive array to avoid it. The array test is to set up a defensive array. If the defensive array you set up can withstand the attack of an upper feather god, you've passed the test. Qing Qingzi explained, then continued. As for Pill Dao, because the environment of the Divine Lord Jinyuan's residence is special, you have to refine a few special divine pills. If you can refine one, you've passed the test. But if the array test is passed, there's no need to proceed with Pill Dao. When does the test begin?
Night Sorrow asked. He could easily set up a defensive array.
The defensive array he set up on the island could withstand the attack of an upper feather god.
It can begin now. Everyone, please follow me. My lord, after you. Qingzi invited Mingi to go first. He led the group and followed behind.
Not long after, they arrived at an even more spacious hall. At this moment, there were dozens of feather god cultivators in the hall. They were busy refining pills or setting up arrays.
Why aren't there any array deciphers?
Logically speaking, there would usually be many arrays set up in a residence or tomb.
Breaking the arrays was a must. But Qingzi didn't mention it just now. There was something fishy about this.
Without waiting for Night Sorrow to think more, Qingzi handed over a spatial Dharma artifact and said, "These are divine-level materials for setting up arrays.
Master Knight, you can choose from them."
All right. After receiving the spatial Dharma artifact, Night Sorrow used his divine soul power to investigate.
Chapter 2372. If I fail, I will have to compensate for the materials.
Mingi was the strongest person that Night Sorrow had come into contact with recently. Not only did he want to go to the east cave of the god Jin Yuan, but he also wanted to prove his worth by asking Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Xiaoluo about their injuries. According to Lin Piaomiao, they only had 30 to 40 years left to live. 30 to 40 years was a long time for mortals, but it was very short for cultivators. Sometimes, one enlightenment would take tens of millions of years. Therefore, Night Sorrow didn't delay. He used his divine soul to take out the materials he needed from his spatial artifact. He found a 10 feet square stone slab in the hall and prepared to set up the god-level defensive array.
Wait. If you fail, you will only have to compensate for the materials. That's too easy for you.
Before Night Sorrow could do anything, Wenrenhao said. Then what do you mean? Night Sorrow, who was planning how to set up the array, asked unhappily. He thought to himself, I'm not strong enough. Any random person in the realm of the gods dares to find fault with me. It's very simple. If you fail, you will have to kneel down and apologize to my lord to atone for your offense. Wenrenhao, who was still brooding over Night Sorrow's attitude, said unforgivingly. What if I succeed?
Night Sorrow was invited. He could have rejected any of the other party's conditions.
At most he could have just left. However, even Buddhas had their temper. This Wenrenhao kept causing trouble and he didn't want to spoil him anymore. So what if he was the subordinate of the high god Mingi?
You succeed?
With your cultivation, how can you succeed? Do you think that the formation can be set up at will? Wenrenhao's face was filled with arrogance and disdain.
Okay.
Since you think I can't succeed, let's make a bet.
How about we make a bet?
Yi Shang said word by word. He knew that the other party was looking down on his cultivation, so he felt a sense of superiority.
Bet. Sure.
How do you want to bet? Wenrenhao, who didn't think Night Sorrow had a chance to set up the god-level defensive array, became interested when he heard the bet. The rest of the people, including Mingi, did not speak. They were just watching the show. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow said, If I fail, I will bow 3 times and kowtow 9 times to Lord Mingi. If I succeed, you will kowtow to me and admit your mistake.
Do you dare?
Why wouldn't I? It's a pity that your bet is too small. Since it's a gamble, let's make it big. Wenrenhao, however, was not satisfied with the bet. He said provocatively, I heard that you earned a large amount of divine-level materials in less than a year of refining weapons and pills. Do you dare to add another 100,000 divine crystals to the original bet?
Good.
However, you're a high-level feather god, yet you're only asking for 100,000 divine crystals.
Isn't that a little too lacking in spirit?
Night Sorrow sneered and continued, Materials from the divine realm are the most worthless. Why don't we just use divine artifacts as the stakes?
Hehe.
Adding a divine artifact would be easy. But I've heard that you can only forge a 3-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifact, while my offensive and defensive artifacts are both 4-feathered.
What are you going to bet with?
Wenrenhao, who was provoked, retorted.
What do you think this is?
Night Sorrow took out a 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifact, the Void Robe, and said with a smile, I don't have a 4-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine artifact. However, I'm lucky to have a 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine artifact robe. As everyone knows, a divine artifact with a higher lightning tribulation is worth 10 times more. As long as you take out 10 4-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine artifacts, we'll bet. After confirming that Knight Sorrow really took out a 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine artifact robe, One Rinhao was dumbfounded. His face turned red and he couldn't say anything. All along, he had a sense of superiority. However, Knight Sorrow only took out a robe and it crushed all 3 4-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine artifacts that he had. In High Bay City, most low-level feather gods would use a 1-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine artifact. Mid-level feather gods would use 2 or 3-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine artifacts. High-level feather gods would use 4-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine artifacts and 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine artifacts. Only feather gods with a strong background could have a 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine artifact. As for 6-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine artifacts, it was even rarer. One Rinhao didn't expect Knight Sorrow, a low-level feather god, to take out a 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine artifact. After a while he said loudly, "If you win, not only will my 3 4-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine artifacts belong to you, but all the divine crystals, books and materials in my spatial artifact will also belong to you." One Rinhao's meaning was clear. If he lost, he would hand over all his possessions. "Okay. I swear to the heavens. Everyone here, please be a witness." Hearing this, Knight Sorrow smiled. What he lacked the most now was books. One Rinhao, as a rogue cultivator, must have a god-level cultivation method and a god-level secret art to be able to cultivate to the level of an upper-level feather god. "Fine." One Rinhao didn't dawdle. He raised his hand and made a heavenly oath. "I, Knight Sorrow, swear that if I can't complete the god-level defense array today." Knight Sorrow was very confident about this bet. After making the oath without any delay, Knight Sorrow glanced at Mingi and started to set up the array. At this time, Qing Mingzi, who had been silent all this time, transmitted a message to Mingi. "My lord, who do you think will win this bet? Even I am a little tempted by this bet. TSK, a 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine artifact defensive robe is rare. I didn't expect Knight Sorrow to have a 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine artifact as a low-level feather god. Whether it was made for him or not, it is not simple. But I think One Rinhao will win this bet." Mingi, who was sitting on a wooden chair, tasted the tea that the servant had just brewed. "My lord, you think Knight Sorrow can't withstand the suppression of this place?" Qing Mingzi asked. "Exactly. This place is built to imitate Jin Yuan Immortal's cave dwelling. It suppresses the soul severely. Usually, it doesn't matter. But when refining elixirs, forging weapons and setting up arrays, the soul suppression will become heavier and heavier. With Knight Sorrow's cultivation, even if his soul power is outstanding, it will be difficult for him to succeed." Mingi said his own judgment. It turned out that this hall had such a special place. No one said these words to Knight Sorrow. It was a little too much. "I should be able to set it up soon." The defensive array that needed to be set up today was only 1% of the area of the defensive array on the island. Knight Sorrow, who was setting up the array bit by bit, thought to himself. Setting up a defensive array that an upper-level feather god could not break with brute force was very difficult for a low-level feather god. But for Knight Sorrow's soul power, it was not a problem at all. How can it be so easy? If it were so easy, how could there only be 3 people to set it up now? After Yi Shang made his move, One Rinhao's face was filled with complacency as he laughed wildly. At this time, Knight Sorrow suddenly felt that his soul power was suppressed. This suppression was not fatal, but he had to split a part of his soul to resist it. It was very demanding on his soul power. So this is what setting up an array here is like. Chapter 2373. Bastards. Do you think that this level of suppression can stop me from setting up the array successfully? You must be dreaming. Knight Sorrow was enraged. He cursed these shameless people in his heart. At this moment, he became more focused. Knight Sorrow's divine soul was different from ordinary people's after he cultivated the universal Tao Tome. Later on, he strengthened his divine soul. His divine soul was much stronger than ordinary cultivators. These disturbances were equivalent to fighting against the divine soul of an inferior feather god while setting up the array. It was nothing to him. Haha, you arrogant and ignorant brat. I'd like to see what a low-level feather god like you can do. I'm looking forward to the 5 Thunder Tribulations Divine Feather God's defensive robe. Wan Ren Hao, who knew that there was something special about the hall, shouted with a smile. Wan Ren Hao had been working for Mingi for many years and had never obtained a divine artifact with 5 Thunder Tribulations divine feathers. Today he had the chance to get one. One could imagine how happy he was. Not only are you suppressing my divine soul, but you're also harassing me with words? Wan Ren Hao, you're shameless. How dare you call yourself an upper feather god? But what do you think these things can do to me? Ordinary cultivators were afraid of being disturbed when they were refining elixirs or weapons. However, Knight Sorrow was different. He usually refined elixirs in the noisy market, and his success rate was 100%. He was not afraid of being disturbed by words. You have some skills. But if you think that suppression is so easy, you're wrong. This hall is built to imitate the abode of the Divine Lord Jin Yuan. The greater suppression is coming. Wan Ren Hao continued to shout when he saw that Yi Shang's speed of setting up the formation didn't slow down at all. He wanted to put more pressure on Yi Shang. Haha. If these underhanded methods had worked, then I wouldn't be the Knight Sorrow I am today. Ever since Bamboo Garden Village, he had experienced countless storms, hardships, and baptisms of blood, yet he had not fallen. Naturally, Knight Sorrow would not be affected by his opponent's little trick. He continued to set up the formation. Kid, it's too early for you to be happy. You're still too young. Wan Ren Hao said with a smile. He still looked as if victory was in his hands. The suppression of the divine soul was increasing. Had it reached the level where he needed to fight against a mid-level feather god? In other words, if he wanted to continue setting up the defensive array, he would have to have a soul that was stronger than that of a mid-level feather god. If it doesn't increase, I can fight it. Knight Sorrow's soul power was far superior to that of other cultivators of the same level. His soul power was stronger than that of the average mid-level feather gods. However, even he felt immense pressure when setting up the formation under this kind of soul suppression. Haha. Was he going to die soon? Give up while it's still early. You will never succeed. Wan Ren Hao continued to provoke him. As an upper-level feather god, his qualities were indeed mediocre. Wan Ren Hao, shut your mouth. Mingi, who couldn't stand it any longer, scolded and said to Qing Qingzi, who was beside him, "This Knight Sorrow really has some ability. Knight Sorrow's divine sense is truly astonishing. He's only a lower-level divine feather, but he's already stronger than an average mid-level divine feather. He truly is a genius when it comes to alchemy, refining, and setting up formations. However, his method of setting up the formation is a little too crude. I think he doesn't have a master." Qing Qingzi was proficient in the art of formations and secretly analyzed. Nurture him well. He's really a rare talent. However, he's proud and arrogant. He's not easy to control. Otherwise, I could have taken him in as a disciple, Mingi, who was observing the situation, said. Indeed. From what I see, this Knight Sorrow's personality is too unyielding. I'm afraid he'll suffer in the future, Qing Mingzi commented. Yes, with his personality, he won't be able to do well in the divine realm. Mingi nodded in agreement. The soul suppression is still increasing. It already needs to suppress the soul power of an upper-level feather god. As time passed, Knight Sorrow felt that the soul suppression was getting stronger and stronger. For an average low-level feather god, if they were suppressed by such a powerful soul, it would be extremely difficult for them to even stand up and walk, let alone set up a formation. If they weren't careful, there might even be a huge problem. Looks like I have to borrow some external help. After all, I can't lose this bet. If he lost the bet, he would have to kneel and kowtow to Mingi? That was something that Knight Sorrow definitely couldn't accept. After pondering for a while, he activated the Void Robe before reaching his limit. This was just in case. The Void Robe was a divine weapon with 5 Thunder Calamity feathers. It also had a certain level of defense against soul suppression. With this, the pressure on Knight Sorrow's body instantly lessened. His movements, which were originally slightly sluggish, once again recovered to the normal speed of setting up a formation. Bastard!
Even this can't suppress you. Where did you come from, monster?
At this moment, even Wen Hao, who made a bet with Night Sorrow, was a little shocked. He thought to himself, such a powerful soul power, and he's just a low-level feather god?
Wasn't this a little too much nonsense?
This Night Sorrow is not bad. He can actually resist the soul suppression of an upper-level feather god and set up a formation normally. Bringing him along for the trip to the Zhenyuan Divine Lord's cave will definitely be useful, Mingi thought to himself. The disciples of the Divine Lord and the Divine King are only so, right?
Qing Mingzi secretly praised.
Night Sorrow's endurance had already far exceeded his expectations.
Bas.
Suddenly, a muffled sound came from the main hall, as if some formation had been activated. Then, Night Sorrow felt the soul suppression become even stronger.
Has he reached the half-step upper divine realm?
No wonder Wen Hao was so determined to get it. If it were any other low-level feather god, there would be no chance of success at all. Night Sorrow thought to himself.
His movements became slower and slower.
Because he was too distracted in resisting the soul suppression, if he wasn't careful, his soul might even be damaged.
Haha.
Let's see how you're going to die from the soul suppression of a half-step upper divine realm. You're just a low-level feather god. What can you do?
Wen Hao, who knew what had just happened, was too excited.
He even forgot Mingi's warning and shouted again.
This bet should end now. Everyone, including Mingi and Qing Mingzi, thought that this bet would end with Night Sorrow's glorious defeat.
After all, this was an unfair bet. How could a low-level feather god suppress the soul of a half-step upper divine realm and set up a divine defense formation at the same time? This was simply a fantasy story.
Do you think this is the end?
Seeing Wen Hao lose his composure, the others had already stood up and were ready to accept the result of the bet.
Night Sorrow sneered. Looks like I have to take out some trump cards.
Since all of you are sticking your faces out, I have to fight.
Chapter 2374.
Power of Merit.
Rise.
Night Sorrow, who originally wanted to keep a low profile and not use any trump cards, did not hesitate and used the power of merit to protect his body. Although his soul was strong and not inferior to the average upper-level feather god cultivator, he could not resist the soul suppression of a half-step high god, and he did not want to lose this bet. The power of merit surrounded him like a golden mist, and the impact on his soul was greatly reduced.
Night Sorrow was able to continue setting up the formation. Everyone present was shocked.
He can still resist it. Divine level power of merit. This kid has so much merit. He must have done great deeds in a certain world. Mingi was not sure if there were any cultivators with divine level power of merit in the god world. Anyway, he had never seen one before.
He looked at Qing Mingzi in surprise.
Sir, this Yi Chong isn't ordinary, Qing Mingzi transmitted his voice secretly. Cultivators who possess the power of virtue and have such a profound foundation are all people with great fortune. How could they be simple? Mingi replied and continued. This kind of person has a limitless future, but he cannot be subdued. We can give him some help. However, I must get the item in the tomb of the Zhenyuan Divine Lord.
If there is a conflict in the cave because of this, how should we deal with it? Qing Mingzi asked Mingi's attitude.
That item will determine whether I can advance further.
Those who block me will die,
Mingi said coldly without hesitation.
Qing Mingzi was stunned.
Why don't we not bring him in? A person of merit has providence, and I'm afraid he will take away the opportunity.
Why not?
I have to bring him. With providence, this trip will be easier to succeed. As long as that item is successfully taken out, even if it is his, I can take it back.
Mingi's meaning was clear.
If Night Sorrow could get the item he wanted, he would kill him and take the treasure.
All right.
Qing Mingzi felt that this was inappropriate, but he knew Mingi's character and did not dare to persuade him. It's done. Right at this moment, Yi Sorrow suddenly shouted loudly and said, The defensive grand formation has been completed.
Please test it to see if it passes. Is there even a need to ask?
He's definitely not qualified. With your pathetic strength, you should be thankful that you were able to survive the suppression of a half-step high god.
You want to form a formation?
You're dreaming. Before the others could react, One Renhao, who had a flushed face, attacked madly at the first possible moment. He couldn't afford to lose because losing meant losing everything he possessed. Without resources and divine artifacts, he couldn't even go to the Divine Lord Jinyuan's abode. Sky-burning dragon capturing hands. One Renhao shouted. He condensed his divine yuan qi in his hand and executed a secret technique. Boom! An energy finger descended from the sky like an unfurled palm and heavily smashed into the defensive formation that Yi Shang had set up. Its momentum was vast and shocking. However, the defensive formation did not budge at all. It was not damaged at all. The power of this absolute art is really not small. The defensive formation was not affected at all. Knight Sorrow smiled, knowing that he had succeeded. The dragon-burning hand reminded him of the sky-covering hand he had learned when he first joined the Medicine Valley. He thought to himself, could this be fate? It's not damaged at all? This is impossible. Impossible. The defensive formation that Knight Sorrow had set up was not affected at all. One Renhao was dumbfounded and muttered in a daze. How could he be willing to lose all his wealth? The oath to the heavenly Tao could not be violated. You won't die if you don't seek it. Looking at the dumbfounded One Renhao, Knight Sorrow had no sympathy. If One Renhao hadn't targeted him repeatedly, he wouldn't have ended up like this. No, this doesn't count. Attacking with the power of divine artifacts doesn't count as breaking the formation with the formation. Suddenly, One Renhao's eyes lit up. He took out 3 heavenly tribulation divine artifacts, the heaven-punishing warhammer, and directed the power of thunder to smash heavily on the defensive barrier of the formation. How is this possible? One Renhao, who had attacked continuously, was completely dumbfounded. He had really tried his best, but he couldn't shake the formation at all. Master Knight, you're good. Although your method of setting up the formation is unique, this formation is definitely not something that an upper-level feather god can shake with his strength alone. Qing Qingzi complimented. Knight Sorrow, who knew that his method of setting up the formation was crude and couldn't be compared to the masters of the realm of the gods, said humbly, actually, this formation is just a trick. Cultivators who are proficient in the realm of gods can break it easily. However, it was extremely difficult to destroy it with brute force alone. I think it would be best to use it to resist the soul-devouring evil wind in the cave. Even Mingzi, the think tank of Mingi, spoke up. One Renhao knew that he had really lost this time. What about me? You are a man. You should accept your loss. Hand over all the items that we agreed on. And kowtow to Master Knight Sorrow and admit your mistake. Although Mingzi wasn't the strongest under Mingi, he was always the second in command. Yes. One Renhao, who knew that he couldn't deny it, looked at Knight Sorrow with hatred and said fiercely, take these for now. One day, I will take them back with my own hands. Then, he handed over the spatial artifact and kowtowed to Knight Sorrow 3 times. As an upper-level feather god, he actually kowtowed to someone. One Renhao's heart was filled with hatred. His body couldn't help but tremble. If you want to come, I will accept it. Knight Sorrow, who took the spatial artifact, used his soul power to erase One Renhao's imprint and took the spatial artifact for his own use. One Renhao, don't be an eyesore here. Go back to your own residence. After the farce ended, Mingi scolded One Renhao and said with a smile, Master Knight Sorrow's methods are amazing. He deserves everyone's respect. Now I, Mingi, formally invite Master Knight Sorrow to join us in the cave. Lord Mingi, what do you need Master Knight Sorrow to do? It was a great opportunity to enter a Divine Lord-level cave. Knight Sorrow naturally wouldn't refuse, but he definitely wouldn't agree without knowing the reason. Very simple. After Master Knight Sorrow enters the cave, cooperate with my son and daughter, Ming Ju and Ming Yu. As for the opportunity, only the worthy will get it. Mingi said and continued, with Master Knight Sorrow joining us, the success rate of this trip will increase greatly. My son will come out in about 3 years. In these 3 years, Master Knight Sorrow can make some preparations. Before that, if you have any requests, feel free to tell me. I will try my best to fulfill them. Son of Mingi, Ming Ju, was an upper-level feather god. When he came out of seclusion, he might reach the half-step high god level. Although Knight Sorrow had the power of merit protecting him, He was only a lower-level feather god. He wasn't worried that the thing he wanted would fall into someone else's hands. Even if it fell into someone else's hands, there was still a high god waiting for him outside the cave.
I won't hide it from High God Mingi.
3 of Night Sorrow's family members had their dantians destroyed by High God. Now, they are suffering from the pain of being corroded by god power.
They probably only have 30 years left. Chapter 2375. Oh.
Which exalted god injured him?
Mingi's expression changed.
He didn't want to offend any exalted god because of Night Sorrow. Mingi was a peak lower exalted god and had been stuck in this realm for countless years. He could do whatever he wanted in front of feather god cultivators, but he wasn't strong among exalted gods.
He had to be careful.
Night Sorrow doesn't know his name, but it's definitely not one of the exalted gods from High Bay City. There shouldn't be any karma involved.
Yi Shang, who knew what Mingi was thinking, explained.
He didn't mention Ling Yun's name, afraid that Mingi would be scared out of his wits.
Oh. So that's how it is.
After a moment of silence, Mingi said, "Sigh, I've never heard of this before.
I don't know how to treat them. I'm really sorry.
I heard that Master Night Sorrow doesn't have a place to stay in High Bay City. Why don't I give you a mansion as a reward for this trip?" In fact, if he wanted to help, even if he couldn't completely cure Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Xiaoluo, he could at least extend their lives by 100 years. However, he was afraid of karma.
All right.
Thank you, exalted god Mingi. Night Sorrow will do his best to help the children of exalted god Jinyuan. Night Sorrow was not a brat who had just entered the Jianghu, so he could naturally analyze Mingi's mentality. After saying that, he prepared to leave. There were still some unfinished orders waiting for him to refine. Originally, Yi Shan had wanted to try refining the god tier pills that the young man had mentioned after he finished setting up the formation. However, he wasn't in the mood to do so now. After finishing these orders, Night Sorrow would do his best to find a way to treat his family's dantians.
Master Night Sorrow, please wait.
I noticed that one Renhao was filled with hatred. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, I'll arrange a personal bodyguard for you. Mingi called out an ordinary-looking short cultivator and said, "In these 3 years, do your best to ensure Grandmaster Yi Shang's safety. If anything goes wrong, I'll cut off your head."
Yes.
The short cultivator bowed and replied. His name was Ming Qi, and he was one of Mingi's subordinates.
How pretentious.
I'm afraid he was sent to spy on me. One Renhao was Mingi's subordinate. As long as Mingi gave the order, he would not dare to attack Night Sorrow. Knowing what one Renhao meant, Night Sorrow felt conflicted. But since he was already here, Night Sorrow didn't say much. Then, together with Ming 7, he took the mansion contract that Mingi had mentioned and signed a new Heavenly Dao contract. There was no reason for him not to take what he deserved.
Hee, why are the 2 of you packing up?
Night Sorrow asked with a smile when he saw that Shen Jizi and Niu Patian hadn't left their stalls yet.
Oh, Night Sorrow bro, you're back. We're just worried about your safety.
Seeing that Night Sorrow had returned, Shen Jizi said happily. Mingi's reputation in High Bay City had always been bad, so how could he not be worried?
Who is this?
Seeing Ming 7 beside Night Sorrow, Niu Patian asked curiously. This is Ming 7, an upper-level feather god under Mingi's high god. He will be in charge of protecting me for the next 3 years. Night Sorrow introduced Ming 7, then looked at Shen Jizi and Niu Patian. These 2 are my friends, Shen Jizi and Niu Patian.
An upper-level feather god? Lord Ming 7, nice to meet you.
Shen Jizi cupped his hands.
Lord Ming 7, nice to meet you.
Niu Patian also greeted with a smile. The other party was an upper-level feather god expert, so the 2 of them were very polite.
Humph.
Ming Qi, who had a dark expression, snorted and muttered. Birds of a feather really flock together.
What kind of cultivation level trash are they? What did you say?
Hearing this, Night Sorrow's expression turned cold. Whatever I say, you have to accept it.
Night Sorrow, listen well. In my eyes, you are just an ant. Protecting an ant like you is a waste of this lord's time. In these 3 years, you better behave yourself. Otherwise, you will suffer some physical pain.
Ming 7 was unhappy that Mingy had arranged for him to come here, so he vented his anger on Night Sorrow.
If you are unhappy, you can talk to Mingy. Why are you acting all high and mighty in front of me? I also told you that if you don't want to stay here, then scram. No one here welcomes you. Family and friends were what Night Sorrow cared about the most. Ming 7's insults to Xianjizi and Neopatian didn't work. These two were the first friends he had made in the God realm, and they had good natures. Xianjizi didn't betray him in front of City Lord Shangguan Yun. This was rare. Bastard. You think you can do whatever you want because you are good at setting up formations? Now, I will let you understand that an upper-level feather god's dignity is not to be offended. Ming 7, who was already angry, was ready to attack. Hehe. You don't know the difference between life and death. Do you want to attack in the city for no reason? Aren't you afraid that the City Lord Mansion will kill you? Night Sorrow laughed in disdain. He might not be able to defeat an upper-level feather god, but it shouldn't be a problem for him to escape. Moreover, Night Sorrow didn't believe that Ming 7 would dare to attack in broad daylight.
Ming 7's face was ashen, and he waved his hand.
Come, let's not talk about this idiot. Let's drink. Originally, Night Sorrow wanted to complete all the orders first and then discuss the matter of the mansion with Xianjizi and Neopatian.
However, he took out a jar of wine from his spatial Dharma artifact and drank with the two of them, leaving Ming Qi to the side.
Humph. Today's matter, let's settle the score. Ming 7 snorted coldly and thought, You think you can stay in the city forever? At the latest, when we enter the Zhenyuan Divine Monarch's cave, I will be able to kill you. Scram. Go wherever you want. Don't be an eyesore here. Since they had completely fallen out, Night Sorrow didn't give him any face.
Ming 7, who felt that he had lost interest, left with a cold expression.
Haha, good wine. Refreshing. Xianjizi didn't dare to shout at Ming 7 directly, so he pretended to shout with the wine. This wine can really make one feel carefree. Neopatian also felt quite comfortable. Night Sorrow actually scolded an upper-level feather god for the two of them. This made him feel very touched. After drinking a few mouthfuls of wine, Neopatian's face suddenly lit up and he said, I think I'm about to break through. The god-destroying tribulation is coming. Congratulations. Congratulations. Xianjizi knew that Neopatian had been stuck at the half-step divine realm for countless years. He didn't expect that he would face the god-destroying tribulation under such circumstances. Congratulations, Brother Patian. Night Sorrow was also very happy. In the divine realm, it was indeed very difficult to survive without a divine realm cultivation. He was truly happy for Neopatian. I still have to thank Big Brother Night Sorrow for speaking your mind and allowing me to suddenly have an epiphany. Brothers, please continue drinking. I will return after I pass the god-destroying tribulation. Since the Sea-Sky Bazaar was in a state of chaos, Neopatian naturally couldn't pass the god-destroying tribulation here. He also didn't have a mansion in High Bay City, so he prepared to find a secluded valley outside the city to pass the tribulation. Chapter 2376.
Without the suppression of the rules of heaven, it was much easier to pass the god-destroying tribulation in the realm of the gods.
After passing the god-destroying tribulation, one's strength would be relatively weaker. This was one of the reasons why Night Sorrow could fight against a mid-level feather god when he had just entered the divine feather realm. However, passing the god-destroying tribulation in the realm of the gods was relatively easy. There was also the risk of losing one's life. Passing the tribulation alone in the valley outside the city could easily lead to special situations. For example, meeting some cultivators with evil intentions or being seen by some powerful demonic beasts could lead to failure. Now that Night Sorrow had received a mansion from Mingy, he was prepared to let Neopatian pass the tribulation in the mansion. This was the safest way. Where can we pass the tribulation if we don't leave the city? Neopatian asked doubtfully. Like Xianjizi, he was poor. He usually stayed at the Sea and Sky Bazaar and did not go anywhere. Mingy gave me a mansion. We are going to take it over now, Night Sorrow explained. Is there such a good thing? Hearing this, Xianjizi and Neopatian were puzzled. Don't think too much. Mingy gave me a mansion because I am worth it. Night Sorrow said.
Then he said, Pack up and follow me.
Xian Jizi and Niu Patian answered at the same time.
However, they sighed in their hearts. Knight Sorrow was indeed not an ordinary person.
It was not easy to get these things from Mingi, who had a bad reputation. The mansion that Mingi gave them was not in Mingi's mansion. It was in a quiet place in the south of the city. This place was close to the Mercenary Union and was a certain distance away from the Sea and Sky Bazaar. Knight Sorrow took 2 hours to arrive with the two of them. This is the place. We are here. According to the heavenly contract, Knight Sorrow brought Xian Jizi and Niu Patian to a mansion that was dozens of miles wide. Knight Sorrow used his divine soul to sense the mansion. He found that there were mountains and water in the mansion. The spiritual energy was rich and there were also some demonic beasts. The demonic beasts were not of high grades. They were basically in the king realm. However, most of them were outstanding. They were either cute or handsome. As for the pavilions, they were all made of wood and had an ancient feel to them. This mansion is really not bad. Knight Sorrow, who had finished his exploration, was very satisfied with this place. He took the lead and walked towards the door. This place is called South Hui Alley. I've heard that the people who live here are all ruthless people. It's very difficult to buy a mansion here with divine crystals. Xian Jizi praised the mansion that would soon belong to Knight Sorrow. As an old swindler who mingled in the Jianghu, Xian Jizi had been mingling in Haibei City for who knows how many years, but he didn't have a mansion of his own. Knight Sorrow had just arrived, and he had already obtained such a good mansion. He was envious from the bottom of his heart. We haven't even entered the door and we can already feel such dense divine origin qi. Cultivating here should be twice the result with half the effort. Niu Patian also praised. Hee. In the future, this mansion will belong to us. When we are tired from running our stalls, we will return to the mansion to eat meat and drink wine. Knight Sorrow said with a smile and continued, After I take over, I will arrange a place for the two of you to stay. We're all brothers, so naturally, we'll share our blessings. That won't do. That won't do. We didn't do anything. Brother Knight Sorrow, on the other hand, helped me and Patian take good care of us. This is already a great favor. How can we take your things? Xian Jizi hurriedly refused. In the past he had done all kinds of things, but when he was serious, he cared a lot about his reputation. Brother, you don't have to be so polite. In the future, we will be in the same boat, so don't be so calculative. Besides, such a big mansion, I can't use it all by myself. Xian Jizi refused, and Niu Patian also wanted to speak. Knight Sorrow hurriedly said, Who is making a racket here? Do you believe that I won't cripple you? Mother Fastress Kerr, don't you know where you are? At this moment, the door of the mansion opened, and a lower-level divine feather realm cultivator walked out. This was a burly man with a curly beard. He looked very fierce and his mouth was dirty. Who is it? Of course it's the owner of this place. Being scolded for no reason, Knight Sorrow replied coldly. Hee, the owner of this place? Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue? Everyone knows that this is the mansion of the high god of the river Styx. Who are you to behave so atrociously here? The bearded man said disdainfully. The divine general's mansion on the river Styx gave it to me. This is the heavenly Tao contract. Knight Sorrow didn't waste any words with this person in front of him. He directly took out the heavenly Tao contract that he had drawn up. This is fake. If you know what's good for you, scram. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. The bearded man didn't even look at them and said unreasonably, This mansion belongs to me. Why should I leave? The ones who should leave are you. At this moment, Knight Sorrow saw Ming Qi slowly walk over with a smug look on his face. Clearly, this bearded man had been arranged by him. You have to leave whether you want to or not. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. As the bearded man spoke, 3 more people arrived. One was a mid-level divine feather realm cultivator, while the other 2 were lower-level divine feather realm cultivators. This. Big Brother Knight Sorrow, why don't we leave first? I feel that the god-slaying tribulation is about to arrive. Niu Patian, who was about to face his tribulation, said softly. No need to leave. This mansion belongs to us. No one can stop us today. Nyo Potion's god-slaying tribulation was about to arrive. It was too late to find a place to undergo it now. Knight Sorrow angrily took out his blood-killing vanquishing evil spear and pointed it at the 4 cultivators blocking the entrance. I advise you to leave now. Don't interfere with my brother's tribulation. Otherwise I, Knight Sorrow, will show you no mercy today. Don't lose your life because of irrelevant people fanning the flames. Knight Sorrow cultivated a virtuous body and wasn't a bloodthirsty person. However, he couldn't tolerate being bullied. Bah! What a big mouth. Why don't you take a look at your own cultivation? The only mid-level Divine Feather Realm cultivator didn't look carefully at Knight Sorrow's blood-killing vanquishing evil spear, so he didn't realize that it was a divine weapon with 5 Thunder Tribulation feathers. That's right. We have a mid-level Divine Feather Realm cultivator and 3 lower-level Divine Feather Realm cultivators. Why would we be afraid of you, a lower-level Divine Feather Realm cultivators? The bearded man laughed. He knew that Mingi had given this mansion to Knight Sorrow, but Mingchi had given them benefits to make things difficult for him. You bearded idiot. Who are you calling an ant? Hearing this, Xian Jizi, who cultivated a special secret technique to hide his strength, was so angry that his beard almost stood up. I'm talking about you, a half-step Divine Realm cultivator. The bearded man said with disdain. I think you're blind. You won't even know how you'll die in the future. Chapter 2377. You motherfucker, believe it or not, I will smash your signboard and crush your balls. The bearded man didn't see Xian Jizi's true strength and continued to taunt him. You're overestimating yourself. Xian Jizi cursed in his heart and sent a voice transmission to Nyo Potion. Xiao Nyo, how long until your god-destroying tribulation comes? I estimate that they will arrive within 2 days. Nyo Potion replied according to his intuition. 2 days? That's enough time for me to flip out. Before Xian Jizi made his move, he asked Knight Sorrow cautiously, Does this mansion really belong to you, brother? That's right. It belongs to us. The heavenly contract is still there. It can't be faked. Knight Sorrow showed the signed heavenly contract. The heavenly contract was compatible with heaven and earth. It was definitely real. Then, we won't violate the city rules by attacking random people here, right? Xian Jizi continued to ask. He was so cautious that it made one's hair stand on end. This bunch of people trespassed into our mansion. We can just kill them. Knight Sorrow could tell that Xian Jizi wanted to attack. He knew that with his strength, dealing with a bearded man shouldn't be a problem. Furthermore, Minghe wasn't afraid of him. He was ready to go all out. Alright. You're good at refining weapons, but that doesn't mean you're good at fighting. Xiao Nyo isn't strong enough. Today, you'll see how I deal with them. They won't be able to take over our mansion. After communicating with Yi Shang once more, Xian Jizi raised his fortune-telling banner and muttered a few words. Then, he threw the fortune-telling banner in his hand towards the bearded man. Haha. You overestimate yourself. You're just a half-step immortal. How dare you attack your grandfather? The bearded man, who didn't expect Xian Jizi to attack him, laughed and grabbed at the fortune-telling banner with his bare hands. In his opinion, since Xian Jizi wasn't an immortal, his attack was no threat at all. Boom! Just as the bearded man's hand came in contact with the fortune-telling banner, a bolt of lightning shot out from the banner. This thunderbolt was in the shape of a green lightning bolt, like a green dragon formed by lightning. It struck the bearded man's hand and then spread throughout his body. What's going on? As soon as the bearded man's hand touched the lightning, he felt that something was wrong. Before he could react, he found that his entire body was numb from the lightning, and he couldn't move at all. Let's see who will crush whose balls. Xian Jizi, who had long since predicted this, cursed and shouted, Eat my door extermination palm. Ouch! Although the bearded man was a low-level feather god with an astonishingly strong body, he was unable to withstand the attack of a mid-level feather god. He was in so much pain that tears came out of his eyes. To ordinary people, the body of a lesser feather god was unshakable, but to an intermediate feather god, it was nothing. This almost caused the bearded man's Dao heart to collapse. Everyone present felt a chill in their crotch, and their faces couldn't help but twitch. Motherf***cur. Do you still dare to call me an ant? Today, I'll kill you, you bastard. Xian Jizi didn't stop after his successful attack.
He silently recited a spell, and the 9 immortal compass with 3 lightning tribulation feathers that Night Sorrow had helped him to refine flew out.
You don't know what's good for you. You still dare to attack.
The opponent's mid-level feather god shouted, and took out a long sword that glowed with cold light, which collided with a 9 immortal compass. With a loud clanging sound, the two of them ended up in a tie.
I didn't expect you to be a mid-level feather god. Han Qianlu was clearly surprised. He hadn't seen through Xian Jizi's cultivation level just now.
That's why I said you're all blind.
Let's fight another 300 rounds.
Xian Jizi was in high spirits after crippling a low-level feather god in a moment. This was the first time in many years that he had fought to his heart's content in High Bay City. Let's fight. I'm not afraid of you.
Han Qianlu was a veteran mid-level feather god. He wasn't far from becoming an upper-level feather god, so he was very confident in himself.
He shouted to the two people behind him, "One of you pin down Night Sorrow, and the other, deal with that half-step divine realm trash and cripple his cultivation."
Yes.
The 2 low-level feather gods behind Han Qianlu responded and began to divide the work.
Ningke, I'll pin down this low-level feather god. You go cripple that half-step divine realm ant, and then come back to help me. The short and thin cultivator looked a little like Ming Qi. He was Ming 12, Ming Qi's younger brother. He was ready to attack Night Sorrow.
Although he wasn't sure how many lightning tribulations Night Sorrow's blood-Kirin evil-slaying spear had survived, he felt that its grade must be good.
Night Sorrow shouldn't be easy to deal with. Brother Xian Jizi is right. You're all blind. The coffin is about to hit the ground, and you still don't know it. Hateful people always had a pitiful side to them.
Even if 2 mid-level feather gods attacked him at the same time, Night Sorrow wouldn't be afraid, let alone 2 low-level feather gods.
Shameless boasting. I think you won't cry until you see the coffin. Ming 12 felt the disdain in Night Sorrow's words.
He shouted, "Ningke, hurry up and cripple that half-step divine realm ant.
I'll deal with him." You still have the time to care about this? I advise you to mind your own business.
Night Sorrow smiled coldly. He raised the blood-Kirin evil-slaying spear and attacked Ming 12's face.
Space-time destruction cut.
Night Sorrow directly used the skill he had evolved from the blood-Kirin evil-slaying spear.
This spear contained space-time attributes. It passed through time and space, and was more powerful than the death cut.
Ming 12 was sent flying before he could react.
Bastard!
Ning Ke, who had wanted to deal with Neopatian, was afraid that Ming 12 would be killed, so he hurried back to help. He took out 2 Thunder Tribulation's divine weapons, the flowing light amber scissors, and fiercely cut at Night Sorrow.
That's all you got. This time, Night Sorrow was like the bearded man from before. He directly used his bare fists to attack. You're courting death.
Ning Ke was delighted when he saw Night Sorrow's action.
Clang! There was a sound of collision.
The flowing light amber scissors was sent flying by Night Sorrow's punch.
His fist didn't slow down and hit Ning Ke's chest.
There was the sound of bones breaking.
Ning Ke was sent flying.
His divine body was nothing in front of Night Sorrow.
Damn it.
Night Sorrow is just a low-level feather god, but he has such strength.
He's probably not inferior to a mid-level feather god. I can only blame myself for underestimating him. Ming Qi, who was watching from afar, said viciously in his heart. He wanted to take revenge on Night Sorrow, but his brother was crippled. This made Ming Qi even angrier. However, Mingyi asked him to protect Night Sorrow. He didn't dare to attack openly and could only be anxious. Chapter 2378. I didn't expect Brother Xian Jizi's cultivation to be so solid. You're much stronger than the average middle-level feather god. You should be able to contend with some of the weaker high-level feather gods. Night Sorrow quickly made the 3 low-level feather gods lose their ability to resist and stole their spatial instruments. He didn't want to kill them. He didn't think they deserved to die. As he watched the battle between Xian Jizi and Han Qianlu, Night Sorrow found that although they were both middle-level feather gods, their divine essence and divine soul were not much different from high-level feather gods. This battle was infinitely close to a battle between high-level feather gods. Old faker. How dare you sneak attack me? Yi Shan was on guard against Ming Qi, afraid that he would launch a sneak attack. He was watching with great interest when Han Qianlu suddenly shouted. It turned out that Han Qianlu's eyes had been temporarily blinded by some powder, and he couldn't control his divine soul. He stood there motionless.
Haha, all's fair in war.
Xian Jizi laughed dryly and attacked Han Qianlu's chest with a secret technique. Han Qianlu was sent flying into someone else's mansion.
Ha ha ha.
Brother Night Sorrow, I didn't disappoint you. I took care of that fool. Xian Jizi, who had used the 1,000 poison flowers blinding powder to barely win the battle, had the appearance of a carefree expert.
Still so shameless.
Niu Patian said disdainfully. Cheating, swindling, sneaking attacks, anything. What do you know? Everything is a skill. This is a strategy, Xian Jizi said proudly. Everyone had their own fighting habits. Night Sorrow didn't say anything.
He smiled and said, "Come, let's go into the mansion."
Ming Qi had been watching but didn't make a move. This made Night Sorrow despise him. Who threw this trash in? Get out.
Before the three of them could move, they heard a shrewish voice.
Then, Han Qianlu was thrown out of a mansion and smashed to the ground. Hey! Why does this voice sound familiar? Xian Jizi muttered. Who's fighting here? Just as Xian Jizi was about to say something, an explosive roar suddenly rang out in the sky. It turned out to be Hai Bei City's law enforcement team patrolling the area. When they heard the sounds of fighting, they immediately rushed over. The leader was a male cultivator wearing a white robe. He had an imposing appearance, but his face was as cold as iron.
He was the first to land on the ground and asked.
Reporting to Captain Murong Bai, Ming Qi saw it with his own eyes. These people acted violently in front of everyone, and injured 4 of Lord Mingyi's subordinates for no reason. Ming Qi, who was not far away, hurriedly went forward to complain. Actually, with his strength, if he had just joined the battle, it would have been hard to say what would have happened. Murong Bai was one of the 5 law enforcement captains in Hai Bei City. He was also an expert who was half a step away from the upper god realm. Plus, he always had a cold expression on his face. When he said this, Ming Qi was a little nervous. Is that true? Murong Bai's face darkened as he looked at Night Sorrow and the others. Of course not. These 4 people broke into the vicinity of my mansion for no reason. My friends and I attacked them out of self-defense. Night Sorrow replied calmly. The consequences of attacking someone in Hai Bei City for no reason were very serious. Nonsense. The place where they attacked was clearly outside the mansion. Lord Murong, you can check the traces of the battle. Ming Qi raised his voice. Is what he said true? Murong Bai looked at Night Sorrow. That's true, Night Sorrow admitted. Lord Murong, the governor's rule is that if you attack someone in the city for no reason, you will be killed without mercy. Ming Qi reminded Night Sorrow after hearing his words. Do I need you to remind me? Murong Bai glared at Ming Qi. Ming Qi suddenly felt as if he had been drenched in ice and snow.
He felt cold all over and did not dare to say another word.
What do you have to say? If you can't give a reasonable explanation, come with me to the law enforcement team. Murong Bai asked Night Sorrow.
My lord, please calm down.
Xian Jizi and Niu Patian were scared out of their wits. The law enforcement team was a place where cultivators trembled in fear. I didn't ask you. Murong Bai said coldly. Of course I have something to say. We attacked outside the mansion because they blocked the entrance and did not allow us to return. Night Sorrow handed over a mirror image crystal with a smile and said, This is a video recording of the entire battle. Also, this is the heavenly contract of my mansion. The heavenly contract clearly states that not only does the mansion belong to me, but the area within 100 miles of the mansion is also my private territory. This is enough to prove who is right and who is wrong. It is indeed so. After watching the video, Murong Bai looked coldly at Ming Qi and the others and ordered, This person is indiscriminately framing innocent people. Take him back and punish him according to the governor's law. The other 4 are causing trouble in the city for no reason. Take them back as well. Yes. Hearing the order, the law enforcement team immediately restrained Ming Qi and the others. My lord, please spare my life. For the sake of Master Ming He, please let me go this time. Ming Qi cried and begged for mercy. He knew how cruel the law enforcement team was. If he walked around the law enforcement team, he would be skinned alive. Are you using Ming He to threaten me?
Hearing Ming Qi's words, Murongbai's face darkened and he asked coldly.
No.
My lord, please don't be angry. Please don't be angry. Ming Qi was like a thief who had been caught stealing in the marketplace.
Take him away.
Murongbai ordered his men to take Ming Qi away. He looked back at Night Sorrow and said, "From now on, we will be neighbors. Your divine weapon is not bad, but your cultivation is too weak."
Neighbors? Does the law enforcement team live nearby too?
Before Night Sorrow could react, Murongbai's body flashed and disappeared into the sky.
This is an expert. His strength is definitely above mine.
A half-step high god is indeed strong. I'm afraid I'm no match for him. Murongbai gave Night Sorrow a lot of pressure. Night Sorrow understood that Ming He would also send a half-step high god to the cave residence of the Zhenyuan Divine Lord.
This was a test for him. Looks like I have to increase my strength within 3 years.
Otherwise, I'll be in big trouble in the cave residence of the Zhenyuan Divine Lord. After today's events, Yi Shang understood why Ming He's reputation wasn't good.
His subordinates didn't have good characters.
As the saying goes, if the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked.
It was obvious that Ming He was not a good person.
If not for the opportunity to enter the cave residence of the Zhenyuan Divine Lord, he would not want to have anything to do with such a person.
The annoying fly has been chased away. Shall we go in and take a look?
Xian Jizi asked as Night Sorrow was slightly stunned.
All right.
From today onwards, we have a place to stay in High Bay City. Night Sorrow said as he invited Xian Jizi and Niu Patian into the mansion.
Night Sorrow did not trust Ming He's character.
He dismissed all the servants in the mansion, leaving only some red-crowned cranes, koi carps and other spiritual beasts.
Why don't we drink to celebrate?
Night Sorrow arranged rooms for the two of them.
Niu Patian, who had his own room, was in a good mood. The god-destroying tribulation would arrive in about 2 days.
He wanted to drink to his heart's content before the tribulation arrived.
All right. I'm happy today. I'll go to the Drunken Immortal restaurant to buy some dishes.
Xian Jizi, who had finally found a place to stay in High Bay City after so many years, was also very happy.
All right. When you come back, we'll drink until we're drunk.
Night Sorrow was also excited. After Xian Jizi left, Night Sorrow had nothing to do. He took out the Blood Qilin Evil Slaying Spear and practiced his spear skills in the courtyard.
Chapter 2379.
The spear was an overlord's weapon. The tip of the spear was sharp enough to kill anything it touched. The body of the spear was heavy enough to kill anything it touched.
Spear moves didn't need to be flashy.
Night Sorrow's every move was simple and unadorned. Although they looked ordinary, they were extremely powerful. After reaching the divine realm and comprehending new laws, Night Sorrow's understanding of the Tao of the spear had deepened. Today's practice made him only one step away from creating a divine spear technique.
Phew!
It's a pity, but the road to success is strewn with setbacks. The rewards will be even greater after I succeed.
Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry.
He put away his spear and calmed himself down. Xian Jizi hadn't returned yet, so he started preaching to Niu Patian. In comparison, Niu Potion's comprehension was average.
Night Sorrow didn't mention too much about the Tao.
He mainly talked about the god-destroying tribulation and the key points of becoming a true god.
Thank you, Big Brother Night Sorrow. This was what Niu Patian needed the most. He was sincerely grateful. Don't call me Big Brother in the future. It feels awkward. Brother Patian, how many years have you been cultivating? Do you still have family members? A cultivator's body was like a tree with growth rings. Their age couldn't be faked and could be seen through a secret technique. However, Night Sorrow didn't want to pry into other people's privacy. It was indeed awkward to be called Big Brother by a cultivator who was definitely much older than him. I haven't been cultivating for too long. I'm only 20,000 years away from an era. As for my family, sigh. Niu Potion's face turned ugly when he said this. What? Is there a secret behind this? Night Sorrow was good at reading people's expressions. He immediately asked. He didn't care about Nyo Potion's 100 billion years of age anymore. Sigh. My tribe used to be very prosperous and lived in a secluded mountain forest in a blessed land. However, that blessed land was discovered by an invincible divine monarch named Xia Yu. He defeated my tribe's divine monarch ancestor and enslaved all of my tribe members to serve him for eternity. I escaped from a teleportation formation by chance and became a wandering cultivator. Has been 8 million years since then. Nyo Potion sighed. The ancient wild bull tribe is not a tribe that likes to fight. After I became a rogue cultivator, I could barely get by, and my cultivation improved very slowly. I want to save my clansmen, but I'm completely powerless. Nyo Potion wasn't someone as talented as Night Sorrow, nor did he have Xian Jizi's crooked ways. How could he see any hope when facing an enemy who had become an invincible divine emperor 8 million years ago? It was already not easy for him to persevere in his cultivation as long as his Dao heart remained intact. The invincible divine monarch from 8 million years ago might have already become the divine king. This matter is indeed not easy to resolve. Hearing Nyo Potion's words, Night Sorrow sighed in his heart. Thinking about Wu Lingfei, he thought to himself that the god realm was indeed a place of natural selection. Without strength, one could only be bullied. If he wanted to protect his family, he had to become a pinnacle expert. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow suddenly said, Brother Potion, don't worry. One day, I'll help you rescue your family. Since Night Sorrow had recognized him as a friend, he naturally wouldn't turn a blind eye. That wasn't his Dao. Ah! Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Nyo Potion was momentarily stunned. His opponent was an invincible divine monarch 8 million years ago. Nyo Potion felt that it was extremely likely that his opponent had already broken through to the divine king. Night Sorrow's words were a bit unrealistic. After all, Night Sorrow was only a lower divine god. He was more than 10 million miles away from the divine king and divine monarchs. If he wanted to catch up, who knew how many reincarnations it would take? Brother Potion, remember this. Nothing is absolute. This is especially true in the world of cultivators. Night Sorrow didn't explain too much, nor did he mention how long he had cultivated. At this moment, Xian Jizi just so happened to return. He brought back more than 10 delicacies from the Drunken Immortal restaurant, as well as several jars of fine wine. The wine was the Drunken Immortal Brew, which was very famous in High Bay City. After drinking it, one's comprehension ability would increase slightly. Xian Jizi had paid a heavy price this time. Although he had cheated and swindled, he wasn't one to take advantage of his friends. Night Sorrow had gifted him a mansion, so he bought wine and food in return. At the end of the drinking, Xian Jizi also introduced his own origins. He was originally a fortune teller from a lower realm, mingling in the marketplace. Later, he came across a cultivation manual by chance and climbed all the way to the divine realm. After arriving in the divine realm, he became a loose cultivator and stayed in High Bay City for 2 eras. Because he couldn't obtain a complete cultivation technique, his cultivation improved extremely slowly. Originally, Xian Jizi thought that he would always be in this awkward situation of muddling along and waiting for death. However, Night Sorrow's appearance reignited a trace of hope for the future in his heart. Xian Jizi and Nyo Potion were both honest. Night Sorrow also spoke of his own origins, as well as the matter of Wu Lingfei being captured and his family being injured. He asked Xian Jizi and Nyo Potion to help him find a way to treat Yiling Huan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Xiaoluo's injuries. Xian Jizi and Nyo Potion didn't have any countermeasures for this for the time being. However, Xian Jizi suggested that they go to the city tomorrow to make an announcement. He believed that as long as the rewards were in place, they would definitely obtain useful information. After getting 2 opportunities in High Bay City, he was completely an old fox in the city. I wonder what treasures are in Wunren House spatial magic treasure. After drinking with Xian Jizi and Nyo Potion, Night Sorrow fed the immortal crane and koi fish. Then, he began to set up a divine-level defensive formation. When he finished, Nyo Potion's god-destroying tribulation still hadn't arrived. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry to go to the market. He gave the spatial magic treasures of the 3 cultivators today to 2 of them. Then, he began to study Wunren House spatial magic treasure. This was something he won from a bet. He had just set aside some time to study it. Only 8,000 divine crystals? Wan Renhao had once said that he bet 100,000 divine crystals with Night Sorrow. In the end, there were less than 10,000 divine crystals in the spatial magic treasure. Night Sorrow was quite speechless about this. There weren't a lot of materials for refining pills and tools. They were only worth 10 to 20,000 divine crystals. 3 divine weapons with 4 thunder tribulation feathers were lying quietly in the spatial magic treasure. These divine weapons didn't have weapon spirits. They were only weapons used for battle. The most valuable thing was a divine-level cultivation technique called the Sky Illuminating Divine Technique, and an absolute art called the Sky Illuminating Dragon Capturing Hands. The names of these 2 books were similar. Night Sorrow guessed that they were related. They are indeed related. After studying it in the Accelerated Spatial Magic Treasure, Night Sorrow felt that the Sky Illuminating Divine Technique was too ordinary. Moreover, it didn't seem to be a complete cultivation technique. If he rashly cultivated it, although he could improve his cultivation in a short period of time, it wouldn't be a good thing in the long run. Although he was anxious to improve his cultivation, Night Sorrow couldn't spoil things by pulling up seedlings. For the time being, he put the Sky Illuminating Divine Technique aside. As for the absolute art called the Sky Illuminating Dragon Capturing Hands, Night Sorrow began to cultivate it seriously. For things like absolute arts, learning one more type was one more type. He didn't mind learning more. Brother Night Sorrow, old liar, my God-destroying tribulation is here. As soon as Night Sorrow learned the Sky Illuminating Dragon Capturing Hands, Nyo Potion's shout sounded in the outside world. His voice was slightly trembling. Obviously, he was afraid when the God-destroying tribulation really came. Brother Potian, only when your heart is invincible can you overcome the God-destroying tribulation. Don't be afraid. Knowing that Nyo Potian was from the ancient Yak tribe and wasn't good at fighting, Night Sorrow teleported out of the room and reminded him loudly. Chapter 2380. Nyo Potian, who was floating in mid-air, was suddenly awakened by Night Sorrow's reminder. He opened up a green energy shield around him. Brother Potian, you should be unmoved by anything in your path of cultivation. Don't think too much, just soar into the sky. Shen Jizi, who flew out of the room, reminded him. This was the first time he had called Nyo Potian, Brother Potian. Thank you both. Nyo Potian cupped his fists and replied. He then focused on facing the tribulation. At this moment, a black tribulation cloud appeared in the sky, blocking out the light in the surroundings, turning the area within 100 miles into pitch-black darkness. The tribulation clouds continued to churn, causing everything in the world to become quiet. As time passed, the tribulation cloud's energy started to shrink into a human-shaped energy body. It looked similar to Nyo Potian, as if it was his clone. This lightning energy body had a lightning bolt that reached the sky. It was Nyo Potion's deity vanquishing tribulation body. If Nyo Potian wanted to become an immortal, he had to defeat it. Come, let's fight. It was either a carp leaping over the dragon's gate or death. Nyo Potian used the power of his spiritual soul to take out a lightning tribulation divine weapon that Yishang had forged for him, the Ask the Heavens divine sword. Night Sorrow didn't make 3 Ask the Heavens godly sword because he was afraid that Nyo Potian wouldn't be able to use it. Pa! The tribulation body also had a long sword in its hand, but it was made of lightning. It immediately slashed at Nyo Potian. Let's fight. Nyo Potian, who couldn't rely on anyone's help, had no choice but to fight. He turned the Ask the Heavens godly sword in his hand and stabbed at the tribulation body's sword. Crack! The 2 attacks had the same amount of energy. The deity vanquishing tribulation had used up 10% of its energy with just 1 strike? This tribulation is so much easier than the lower realm. After becoming an immortal, Night Sorrow's horizons were naturally much broader. He was quite upset when he saw how easy it was for cultivators in the realm of the gods. One had to know that he had almost died when he went through the tribulation. In the end, he had used up all of his chi and blood to barely succeed. From the looks of it, as long as there are enough resources, a feather god will soon appear in the Night Moon dynasty. Nyo Potion's perception wasn't that good, but he was still able to fight against the god-destroying tribulation body. Night Sorrow was very confident in his family. It's done? Have I become a god?
4 hours later, the deity vanquishing tribulation's incarnation in the sky naturally dissipated.
Neopatian suddenly stood still in the sky.
Because of the resources that Night Sorrow and Xianjizi had prepared for him, the deity vanquishing tribulation had been a little too easy for him. He had only used up the divine force in his body and 100 divine crystals.
Haha, congratulations on becoming a god, Brother Patian.
From now on, no one will call you an ant below the immortal stage anymore, Night Sorrow congratulated him.
He was happy for him.
Xianjizi, on the other hand, laughed and scolded.
What? Becoming a god is so easy. Are you not satisfied and want to do it again?
In the previous world, Xianjizi was also a famous legendary figure who had survived the god annihilation tribulation. However, he was not in existence like Night Sorrow who had experienced the creation of the world.
Thank you for taking care of me.
I thought that I would never be able to become a god. In the past, Neo Potion's talent was very ordinary and could not be considered outstanding. This also caused his confidence to be lacking.
Brother Patian, I have a suggestion. Do you want to hear it? Xianjizi suddenly asked.
Of course. Neopatian, who was immersed in the joy of becoming a god, carefully sensed the increase in the power of his divine sense. After becoming a god, he was indeed countless times stronger than before. He had become a life form on a completely different level. It's not good for the two of us to always take advantage of Brother Night Sorrow. Why don't the two of us follow Brother Night Sorrow's lead from now on?
Xianjizi looked at Neopatian, then turned to look at Night Sorrow.
Neopatian naturally agreed wholeheartedly. He hurriedly said, "Of course I can work for Brother Night Sorrow. However, I'm naturally not good at fighting. I'm afraid I won't be of much help."
Who says that you won't be of much help if you're not good at fighting? I see that you're a meticulous person.
In the future, you'll be very suitable to help Brother Night Sorrow manage the shop. Xianjizi knows that Brother Night Sorrow is a person with a broad mind.
He's someone who will do great things.
He won't bicker with us over small matters. After Xianjizi and Neopatian finished speaking, he continued. However, in the path of cultivation, if you want to develop, you need a large amount of resources. Brother Night Sorrow still has his entire family to take care of. He can't raise us for free forever. We were originally rogue cultivators with no ability. Meeting someone with great fortune like Brother Night Sorrow is a great blessing. I hope that Brother Night Sorrow won't despise us for being useless. Xianjizi's words were extremely sincere. He was definitely speaking from his heart. In the past, Xianjizi was a big shot in the lower realm. However, after coming to the god realm, he had been silent for so long. He was truly unwilling. Now, Night Sorrow had completely brought him hope. Brothers, we haven't known each other for long. You might not understand Night Sorrow. I, Night Sorrow, have only had brothers since I started cultivating. I don't have subordinates. Night Sorrow then told Xianjizi and Neopatian about some of his brothers in the lower realm. He started from Qin Zhen to Pu Luo and the others. After he finished, he continued, "If you don't mind, we can form a team together."
Like the god-slaying team?
Xianjizi and Neopatian asked in unison.
There's no need to be like.
It's the god-slaying team from the god realm. If you want to join the god-slaying team, your character is not the key. Although we haven't known each other for long, Night Sorrow is confident in his ability to judge people.
Night Sorrow said firmly.
Then he officially said, "You know my enemy. He's very strong, but I have to face him. If you join, you won't have the chance to regret it." Xianjizi is naturally willing to join. Patian is also willing to join. Xianjizi and Neopatian said in unison.
Good.
The god-slaying team of the divine world officially invites the two of you to join. Night Sorrow was quite satisfied with Xianjizi and Neopatian. They were not the kind of people who were treacherous. Brother Xianjizi, you have a lot of experience. In the future, you will be the vice-captain of the god-slaying team. After the team was formed, Night Sorrow appointed Xianjizi as the vice-captain. He then said to Neopatian, "Brother Patian is not good at fighting. In the future, you should focus more on the shop. It won't be long before we have our first shop in High Bay City. As for Brother Potion's clansmen, when my cultivation is high enough, I will accompany you to help them."
Thank you, Captain. Neopatian was not stupid. He directly changed the way he addressed Xian Jizi. I will help you make the announcement first.
Xian Jizi left immediately and went to the city to post announcements related to Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Xiaoluo for Night Sorrow. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.